Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OWN Valencia. It is match day number 3 in this league phase. I am your host, Panicast, joined by the very amazing and handsome Duncan Brawl Stars. How are you doing today, Duncan?
I'm doing fantastic, Panda. Thank you for having me once again. Very excited to get into our day 3 of matches today. We've got a bunch of bangers ahead of us, including probably the matchup that we've all been looking forward to, Humble versus SKR, two undefeated titans of the EU region. So I'm fired up for these games, specifically the last one, but hopefully we'll be in for some good games today, Panda.
Yeah, and we have, I know what we have. We have 4 amazing matchups today. It's going to be Inner Circle versus Reverso Gaming, Team Heretics versus Reply Totem, which promises to be really great. Eclipse Star Esports versus Ping Abusers, Humble versus SK Gaming. And I believe we are going to be going into our draft. So the maps, if you aren't aware, are going to be Bell's Rock, Dueling Beetles, Gem Fort, and Bridge Too Far.
Yep, and we are going straight into map number 1, which is going to be Bell's Rock, between our first matchups, our first contestants of the day, Inner Circle and Reverso Gaming, who have both gone through a little bit of struggle in this league play so far. But we are going to be seeing our bands come in, Daryl, Ollie, Kit, as well as Lumi, Gray, and Tick. So we should see Inner Circle with the first pick coming up here. Obviously, with a knockout map such as Bell's Rock, we're going to be looking at a little bit more ranged options, and it looks like they're going to take a anti-tank range option with the RT right there. Definitely makes a lot of sense. Takes away a lot of the aggro possibilities that Reverso might be looking to go on this 2-3 turn here.
Indeed. I really like this RT. It synergizes well with brawlers such as Tick, or for example, Tick has already been banned out, but like Gene, for example, the sprinkles as well. So I think that there are lots of reasons as to why you want to go RT, but Angela is really good on lane, as is Bell. As a result, we're going to get both of these brawlers picked up. And I feel like the ban of the kit really does enforce a more long-range meta on this map, because you don't have as many shenanigans, but you still have some throwers open.
Yeah, 100%. You see Inner Circle is banning 2 of the more aggro brawlers, as well as the support brawler that helps out those aggro brawlers. So it looks like Inner Circle is going to be perfectly content playing with a little bit of a longer range matchup here. And Reverso is definitely drafting like they are fine with that as well. Obviously taking 2 snipers of their own. We still do see some of the better snipers on this map available though, including Piper, Mandy, and Nani, who I know some people think is difficult to play on this map. But overall, we do see a lot of those longer range options still on the board, but they are going to be going a little bit of a different route, not going as much for the sniping, but they are going to take that Gene with that magic hand. Obviously can make a game-winning play at any moment once you have that super online. And then they take a Sprout as well, probably one of the best pure throwers in the game. We're going to see Reverso grab a Brock last pick, hoping to break some of those walls, make the Sprout a little bit more useless, and eliminate some of the places where that Gene can hide behind once he has that super online. So it looks like both teams are going to be fighting more of a long-range bout here today. I'm very excited to see who's going to hit more shots here.
Yeah, it's going to come down to that pure long range skill. It's going to be pretty interesting to see, though, how the Sprout plays around with it. I feel like Inner Circle has a bigger turnaround threat with the Gene being present. You can pull people through walls, and the Sprout's going to be a huge annoyance for Reverso Gaming really to go up against. So as we go into game number 1 of our first match of the day between Inner Circle and Reverso on the first map.
Yep, and we are going to get straight into the gameplay here. We do see DA breaking their own walls nice and quickly, trying to give them a little bit more room to shoot behind, to shoot at Inner Circle here. There's not going to be as much of an area for them to push up here. So we see Rama fighting Andi on the right side of the map. Nob is going to be trying to hold it down into the middle, but it looks like there is probably going to be another wall break coming down soon from DA. So as of right now, everyone's just holding their positioning. It looks like Mebius is able to push up a little bit onto the left side of the map, but overall, pretty much a stalemate so far.
Indeed, and it's just basically farming your supers at this point. The game tends to be quite slow on a map like this, at least early on, but in the dying seconds, it's going to be very high octane, and you have to be careful, otherwise you're going to be caught out here. Nob has done a pretty good job of keeping both the Bell and the Brock at bay, but so far no real inroads for either team.
Not a whole lot of inroads at all, but we are going to see that initial super going down from Nob. DA is going to immediately counter that out with a Brock wall break, which you don't see too often, but it looks like Reverso is getting quite weak over here, and it's going to be Andi left all by himself. Inner Circle is going to clean that up quite easily, not even having to use really all of their utility. They're going to be going into round 2 with all of their supers online, including by far the most important one with Rama's magic hand here.
Yeah, it's a great start for Inner Circle. With all the utilities that they have here, they have a great chance of just closing this first game out, but Reverso they have their own sets of abilities. You have the Rocket Rain from Day, which he's going to be putting down. It's going to illuminate where Nob is on the map, so he doesn't have as much of area control. On the right hand side, we have Bell with the super as well. So it is interesting here. It's a little bit of a poke and see what happens.
Yeah, don't expect too much aggression from the side of Inner Circle right here. With all of the utility currently in their hands, Rama does not want to rush this pull. I feel like if they do just wait for the gas to come in, he should be able to get a pretty easy pull in right there and kind of secure the round for his team. But we see DA breaking the final walls here in the middle of the map. So Nob is going to have his work cut out for him here. He's going to be playing his own wall in order to push up onto the Bell lane here. And he has Bell fully
Wow.
trapped back as the smoke is starting to come in. This might be impossible for Reverso to get out of this situation. Bell is going to go down to the smoke. Rama connects the magic hand, and that is going to be a very clean round number 1 win for Inner Circle, Panda.
That was beautiful. I love the way Nob just put down the hedge on the right hand side. It completely cordoned off Bell from the mid and also from the lane. He had to walk through the smoke just to be able to compete once more. And at that point in time, she's basically already dead. So great job in the first game for Inner Circle. I feel like the clinical precision is something that Reverso couldn't really handle. But maybe with the adaptability, we might see something different.
Yeah, we're going to have to see something different there because they definitely did get outplayed by Nob with the Sprout plays right there. Definitely wonderfully executed Sprout tech. But going into our second game here, we are going to see a little bit more of the same exact wall break coming down, and it looks like the same lane assignments as well. So I think that the player that I'm going to be looking out for here is Nez. I think that he kind of does need to get a little bit of a pick off with that Angelo in order for them to not be forced into a tough situation against the only thrower on the map in the end of the rounds. Obviously, once that smoke comes in, Nob's wall is going to get so much value. His shots are going to be so impossible to miss. So they got to kind of get a little bit more aggressive here, but it's not going to go in their favor as DA is going to get caught out. And that pressure was just allowed by Mebius being able to push up so high up on that left side. Nez is going to have to start hitting some shots on this matchup if they want to have any chance here, Panda.
Indeed, and Reverso is just going to take that line down. First round, going to go to Inner Circle in a very dominant display, despite the fact that you have the Brock opening up the map and making it kind of annoying for Sprout to really play here. It's still doing a stellar job.
Absolutely stellar. And we do see Rama is going to have his magic hand online as well. So I do have to give Inner Circle another advantage going into round number 2. Reverso is going to have to get a kill if they want to avoid losing in the end of this round with Nob's wall online, with Rama's super online. They're doing everything they can they switched up the lanes a little bit. So Nez is going to be in the middle, but he's going to be taking a lot of damage here. And everything is just going the way of Inner Circle right now. They have full control of the map. The Sprout wall is coming down to fully trap Nez in the back of the spawn. So they are going to have to make a play. Reverso is going to have to make a play very soon if they want to come out on top of this one.
Ooh, sorry for that little bit of lag spike over there, but I think we're all back and it's normal here. But so far, we're going to get into the dying seconds of the second round here, as the first round was already claimed by Inner Circle. So with the lane swap, I feel like Day is doing a pretty decent job against Mebius on this left lane, but so far, no real inroads for either team as the smoke starts billowing in.
Yeah, but Nob is going to be able to get an aggressive Sprout kill right there. Rama connects his magic hand, and that is going to do it for this game number 1. Inner Circle with complete and utter dominance over Reverso in our first match of the day. I have to say, I think that they had the better comp, but overall, I think that was a winnable game for Reverso if they were able to hit a couple more shots. But Inner Circle, with the jukes that they needed, they were able to connect the shots at the right moment in time, and they just walk away from that with an incredibly easy win. A little bit unexpected there.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of crazy how fast that happened. You don't expect knockout sets to, I don't know, get finished so fast. You usually dwell on it. You need to see a little bit of the marination. It felt really fast. The way Inner Circle were able to blitz Reverso Gaming is something that shouldn't inspire that much confidence in Reverso fans. So maybe in Dueling Beetles, we might see something different, but Bell's Rock was a complete stomp for Inner Circle.
Absolutely, yeah. They're definitely going to need to switch it up a little bit. That was not working out in their favor. I mean, if you're not able to defeat the Gene in the first round and he gets that super for the second round, you already have your work cut out for you in a situation like that. So I think it was just a little bit, maybe a little bit too passive considering they didn't have the end game comp that was necessarily going to be able to pull it out once that smoke comes in. But hopefully they'll be able to switch up their drafting strategy and give us a competitive round here in Dueling Beetles.
Yep. I gotta say though, like Reverso hasn't had the best showing in the past few weeks, right? Like they haven't really performed at that level. So hopefully they come back here. Hopefully it hasn't really, stuck around in their mentality that maybe we don't have what it takes. But let's see what happens in Dueling Beetles, like you mentioned. That is going to be the next map here. And in terms of what we're looking at with Dueling Beetles, because of the way the map is. Oh wait, never mind. We're gonna go into our bands, and we're gonna have Stu, Barley, Meeple, Carl, B, and Lumi being banned out.
Yep, definitely expecting Inner Circle to have the first pick considering Reverso is banning out that Lumi, but we see some of the better options on this map being banned out, especially B, Carl, Lumi, and Meeple, I feel like, have been picked quite a fair amount on this map. It looks like there are a lot more aggressive brawlers that are still in play, including the Poco, Buster, Ollie, so maybe we'll be seeing some of those come out. With the Lu first pick from Inner Circle, though, I would be quite surprised to not see Reverso pick up the Poco counter, considering his second gadget is basically going to completely eliminate any ill effects of that Lu super. So I'm expecting a Poco from the side of Reverso Gaming. If not, that Lu first pick is probably going to be able to dominate here.
Yeah, I like the Lu first pick. It's great for shutting down so many of these tankier options that you might see on this map. And just generally, the Ice Rink is a huge demotivator from moving on to wherever it is. It could be on the mid, it could be on lane, just to make it impossible for people to move up here. B being banned out is, it just makes so much sense because it's probably one of the most used brawlers on lane here on this map. And Chester as well hasn't been banned out though. Actually, not as well. It hasn't been banned out. It has quite a high pick rate and quite a high win rate as well. Along with Bo, we've seen a little bit of resurgence in Bo in the meta, and I think that is pretty cool. But Buster is still available.
Yeah, Buster is definitely going to be one of the options I wouldn't be shocked to see here. It looks like they are going to take the Poco, and instead of the Buster, they're going to be counting on the Ollie here, which makes a lot of sense. Obviously, his super effect, that stun effect, is going to be countered out by the Poco, so taking the Poco for themselves makes it so that there's really not going to be anything that can stop that super dive from the Ollie. Makes a lot of sense to pair a tank and a Poco as well, just kind of permanently in Brawl Stars, so I definitely love this 2-3 from Reverso Gaming. Lu should be able to get a decent amount of shots off here, but obviously the best part of his kit is going to be that super cover in the hot zone, so if that's not able to make the opponent slip and slide all around like crazy, then there's really not going to be a whole lot to speak of with Lu's utility. I'm a little bit surprised that Inner Circle decided to go with that Lu first pick, knowing that Poco was going to be on the board, but we're going to have to see if they have a trick up their sleeve with this 4-5 that maybe they expected this comp to fall into their hands.
Yeah, I mean, it is slightly perplexing about the rationale as to why they went that, but just looking at some of the other brawlers that they could possibly go for, Barley might be able to stop people on his tracks because it can be behind a wall and completely zone people out with his super. We have Chester coming out and Frank. I like the Chester, obviously one of the better picks right now in the meta, and the Frank I feel like is mostly just for a little bit of surety that you can get those stuns in, because when the Ollie's going to be moving in, it's going to be committing, right? So usually though, you take the Ollie to take out the Frank, so I'm not sure if the reverse also holds true though.
I don't dislike this this finish to the draft for Inner Circle. I feel like with the Poco and the Ollie, the thing that they don't really thrive in is damage per second. So the Frank might be able to just kind of utilize his HP, obviously, as the tankiest brawler in the game, and just kind of sit on that zone right there. Taking away the Chester is fantastic too. Is one of the harder counters to Frank. Obviously, a major super feeder there. So I do like that turn from Inner Circle. Reverso is going to take a Dynamite last pick. I know we aren't going to be super shocked to see throwers on this map, but Dyna is one of the crazier picks. If they are able to land consistent shots with that mic, especially onto the Frank, and then using the super to kill maybe the Chester or the Lu, that could definitely get a ton of value. It's really all going to be a very high skill cap pick, though. The mic's going to have to execute perfectly.
We're going to go to game number 1 off the second set here between Inner Circle and Reverso. And already we see Nez in the mid. Just going to get a little bit of value. You just have to dip your toe in from time to time to ensure that you're not in a bad position. It's a little bit of a poke game, trying to see if you can, get anybody lacking in terms of their situational awareness. And Nob just going to be holding that line, not really committing too much.
Yep, Nob is definitely not looking to feed too many supers in the beginning part of this game. Very surprised to see Mevius getting a super out already. Obviously, with Nez's gadget, it's not going to do a whole lot, but Andi's going to be going in on Nob. They're going to be able to get the kill on the Frank with a little bit of help from Nez's Poco right there. And we see Reverso take a dominant position on the zone. DA is running up with a stun. Is he going to be able to land it? He is not going to be able to. And now we see Nob breaking their own walls to make it just a little bit easier to get back into the middle of the zone here, Panda.
Yeah, it also makes sure that the dynamite is that much lesser of a threat here. So all in all, I kind of agree with the wall breaks that Inner Circle are bringing to the table, and it's a very even game, and just in terms of the possession of the hot zone. But with the amount of HP that Inner Circle have, I feel like Reverso might not be able to compete, but really goes to show how important Ollie is in completely neutralizing Frank in conjunction with that Poco.
Yeah, Reverso has been doing a fantastic job combining their resources in order to take out Nob, but as you can see, he is just so fast and so tanky. He just keeps on respawning and coming back up the map, and he's going to kind of clear out that space to allow Inner Circle to reestablish dominance over the zone. As their lead grows a little bit above 10%, they only have about half of the zone left to take off. Nob is going to whip that super, and we see DA doing all he can over on this left side, but just overall, maybe not enough damage to really be able to take any of these tankier options off of the middle of the zone there. Mebius is going to get a fantastic hypercharge kill as well, and he doubles it up. Rama's going to be able to finish that off there, and we see Inner Circle extend their lead here. It is going to be borderline impossible for Reverso to catch up this deficit here.
Yeah, and I feel like now they need to probably think about what they're going to be doing in the second game, because this one's obviously a stomp here for Reverso. I felt like at the start we had like a pretty good understanding of what Reverso were going to be doing, but it felt like the Poco and the Ollie were just working on taking out the Frank the entirety of the time and forgetting about the objective, which is staying on the hot zone. And I felt like that kept on biting them in the butt. So hopefully they can address that.
Yeah, I think they did a good job combining to take down the Frank, but it came with Rama and Mebius kind of having free lanes against the Dynamite. As long as they're able to juke any shots, there's not a whole lot DA is going to be able to do. We're going to see Nob playing a little bit more aggressive to start off game number 2. He does get stunned out a little bit here and will likely be going down, but they are going to be able to trade out Nez right there. So we are going to see a 2v2 on the zone right now with Inner Circle continuing to count up their zone percentage, the smallest amount, with Rama on the middle here. Nob is going to go for his same exact wall break again, and we're just going to once again see Nez and Andi trying to combine all of their resources to take out Nob, while Rama and Mebius kind of hang out on the zone here and extend the lead.
Yeah, see, Andi took him out, but now it's just they really can't compete against Rama and Mebius because they're going to be low. Despite all the heals that Poco has, it's kind of difficult here. Nob going to go in as a hypercharge, has popped it, not going for the wall break just yet though, and might be taken out, but he's flushed everybody from Reverso away from the hot zone.
Yeah, he took a full lap from his spawn to the other team's spawn, just such a good job distracting the members of Reverso, but they're going to be able to get a fantastic kill there with Andi kind of leading the charge on the Ollie there. He's playing a good Ollie, but like I said, Ollie just does not have the greatest damage, definitely the weakest part of his kit. As we see the Chester hypercharge come through from Rama, going to kind of keep Reverso off the zone, as DA is the sole member remaining on the zone, and it looks like it's going to be Andi trying to take Mebius and Rama off of the zone right now. They are extending their lead a little bit above 25% right now. Reverso is going to have to make a move, and it looks like Andi is going to be trying to facilitate that.
Ooh, the Frank gadget is going to remove the hypnosis here. He gets stunned and then hypnotized, but it's not going to matter. Completely stopped by Reverso Gaming. And now Mebius does have a hypercharge, goes for the double stun. He manages to land it as well, but Poco is online with the heals. And just like that, Reverso have the lead, but it's going to be swapping back to Inner Circle.
Yeah, that was the best control of the zone that we've seen Reverso have in this entire set, but Inner Circle is going to be coming right back up with Nob with an insane double kill there, and that is going to do it for set number 2. Another dominant performance from Inner Circle. They are looking like the better drafters and the better players right now. After our first 2 sets of the game, we're going to need to see something more from Reverso going into set number 3, Panda.
Yeah, I feel like just talking about Inner Circle, right? It's a team that has had issues with inconsistency. We saw them on the first match. They went 3-1 against Eclipse, who are the defending monthly finals champions, and that was crazy. But then on the next day, they get swept in straight sets by Ping Abusers, who are pretty much the outsiders in this tournament. It was kind of crazy. And now they've taken 2 sets off Reverso without really blinking in a complete stomp. So I'm not exactly sure how to really term this team, but the only thing consistent about them is their inconsistency.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you on there. They are the hottest / coldest team in EU right now. They keep on just surprising us at every turn of the way, but they're going to have a chance to sweep Reverso in 3 straight sets right here. Going into set number 3, it looks like we're going to have Gem Fort for the map. So this is definitely a map that requires a lot of communication and teamwork. So hopefully Reverso is not tilted over in their headquarters over there, and they're going to be able to lock in a little bit harder for this one. But Inner Circle is playing with a ton of confidence. You can just tell from the way that they're moving out there, especially with the Frank plays that we saw in the last game. So I'm very curious to see how this draft goes, but we're going to need to see something a little bit different from Reverso's. They've kind of been outdrafted in both sets, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's not just the outdraft itself, it's just the way they're playing it. They've been completely focused on one or two of the opposition, not completely looking at what they're going up against as a team. So I think that they need to address that, obviously. But we're going to be going to Gem Fort, and just looking at this map, there's a lot of walls, but the most important thing is having control of the mid. And honestly, this can go in many different ways. You could have like a tankier composition, but we're going to go into our draft here, and we have our bans. They're going to be Buzz, Tara, Buster, Lumi, Janet, and the Stew.
Yep, so expecting Inner Circle to have the first pick here. Just some brawlers that I'm seeing that have not been banned that are very common here. I was going to say Carl, so yep, we're going to see the Carl come out with the first pick. Such a sturdy brawler in this meta. That fire gadget is able to get a ridiculous amount of value, but looking at brawlers that Reverso Gaming might be able to go here, I feel like Jean is always going to be a go-to option in gem grab. Just in general, you're able to get so many game-changing plays, pulling all the gems over to your side. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a little bit of that action, maybe a Gray as well, kind of on a similar note with the pull action that you're able to get there. As far as the tanks go, though, it looks like Ollie is probably going to be the best one still available, but Ash is a brawler that I want to keep my eyes on here. He can be an absolute menace with the last pick if you don't have enough damage to deal with him.
Indeed. And another brawler that is not in the bans here and could be picked up early on is Chester. And we have Chester coming out with the Gene. I like this composition. It's you have the turnaround ability. Chester just addresses so many different threats because it is probably one of the biggest threats in the meta right now. What I don't see, however, is a max, and I don't know if Inner Circle want to take the max, if they want to deny the max to Reverso Gaming, because I feel like a max Gene Chester is so difficult to go up against in a map like this. So let's see what Inner Circle go for.
Yeah, I completely agree with your diagnosis of the situation there. I would not be surprised if Inner Circle more or less takes the max just so Reverso doesn't get the max. The only other mid that really comes to my brain here is going to be B or Bo. I feel like we've seen a lot more Bo than people might have expected in our 2 days of league play so far. He's definitely a brawler that has been shooting up people's meta, but he is a fantastic option on this map. Those Bo mines are able to do so much work as far as keeping the opponents out of that middle gem fort right there. B is another solid option, especially if you do want to rock with the honeypot that can tank gene pulls, but it looks like we are going to be seeing the Bo and then a little bit of an off meta pick with the Rico. This is one of the maps where he can thrive, especially with that vision gear. You're able to hold down either of the lanes incredibly easily, but I really do like the Bo pick in the mid. I'm a little bit less confident in the Rico pick, but we've seen a lot of great Rico players in the EMEA region, so maybe it's just going to be more of a little bit of a pop-off ego pick.
Yeah, I think it's definitely an ego pick because Rama does like to run Rico. I believe he ran it on a Hard Rock Mine the previous day when they didn't have composition. So I feel like a lot of times Rama tries to force that pick in maps it works well in. He goes for his comfort picks, and Reverso gonna go for the Ollie. I honestly don't think that there's anything wrong with this Reverso composition. It has a lot of threats, but the only thing that has me at pause here is just the fact that, you know, you have the Carl with its unpredictability, and the Rico with a hypercharge is one of the most threatening brawlers. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is the first comp that I've liked Reverso's over Inner Circles today. And just a note before we do jump into this game, Reverso was down 2-0 against, I believe, SK yesterday, and they were almost able to, or against Humble, my apologies, and they were almost able to come back with the Reverso sweep. So that's going to be what they're going for here as we go into set 3 Gem Fort right now. Nob is going to be establishing control over these first 2 gems, as DA is going to be trying to push him back. But so far, it looks like positioning is, or the gems are on the side of Inner Circle, but positioning is kind of flipping into the side of Reverso. But Mevius is going to take down Andi. That's going to relieve a ton of pressure for Inner Circle.
Indeed. And with Carl, once you have the heat ejector, it's basically almost a lane win if you manage to land it. And that's what he did on the left-hand side earlier on. With a kill on a Nez, though, we're going to see Reverso moving back. And once more, Nob's going to be in the mid. But with that pull that Day has, Nob has to be careful and consistent with ensuring that he keeps his distance, because otherwise he's going to get pulled. But obviously he does have a totem as well.
Yep, 100%. I'm definitely a little surprised to see the Gene Super online this early. Maybe fed him a little bit more value than they were looking for. But Nob is still going to have a 3-gem lead over DA in the mid right now. So they are going to just hold on to that lead for now, as Andi is going to be trying to move up onto Mevius. He's going to hit his stun, but it looks like he's probably going to take that enough damage from the Carl gadget, and that is going to be a tough situation for Reverso to come back from. Nez is getting a little bit bullied by Rama on this lane with the Rico. Not the easiest matchup for the Chester. He's going to try to slide into the mid just to preserve his own life here and get a little bit of those magic puffs from DA. But we are seeing the gem count even up a little bit as DA is going to be in a very tricky position. Crazy jukes to be able to get out of that with no damage taken. Fantastically played from DA, but overall it looks like this gem count is going to be flipping back into the side of Reverso as Inner Circle is going to have to kind of reset here.
A little bit of poison damage takes out the gem carrier for Inner Circle. There's a nice hypercharge coming in from Rama. Doesn't get the value that they were probably looking for as Ness goes up against him mano a mano on the right hand side and gets the better of him. And now Andi going in, gets a hypnosis onto Nob. Nob is stunned. He gets taken out. So does his teammate Mebius, and all the gems are now with the Reverso.
That was an absurdly good play from Andi. He's using the gadget that shoots that shoots to stun rather than using the jump. So that was able to help him combine with his super to get so much more value than originally anticipated there. And that play in and of itself is going to be more than enough to lock up this game for Reverso. Fantastically played to Reverso, especially Andi on that ollie. That was an amazing dive at the end there, Panda.
Yeah, I gotta say, they played beautifully. Nob knew the writing was on the wall. He didn't even try to move out of spot after that death. He knew it was basically done. And finally, we see Reverso on the board. They have their first win of the day. So this might be a little bit of a momentum shift, which might favor Reverso as we go into game number 2 of this third set.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like there might have been a little bit too much focus on DA with the magic hand, and Andi was kind of a little bit neglected there, and he was able to make that game-winning play at the end of the day. But Reverso's comp has so many brawlers that are able to do so many game-changing plays, but Andi is going to get kind of clapped up by Rama, who has switched over to the left side right now. It's going to be the Carl versus the Chester lane on the right for now. But we are going to see Inner Circle take a pretty early gem lead once again. Nob does have his mines online, but Rama is making quick work of Andi once again, and this ollie into the Rico matchup is just not working out for the side of Reverso.
Indeed. Mebius also getting kind of having a difficult task going up against Nez on the right hand side. Gets taken out by the poison as well. Andi going in. Mez to get Rama, and all the lanes of Inner Circle are down. Now Nob the only one alive, and as everybody comes in, they're still only in the spawn. They're within 5 tiles of spawning.
Yep, Chester's doing all he can to kind of keep them fully backed into the spawn, and it is working out very well so far. They are going to take a 2-gem lead as of right now. DA still has that magic hand online, which I don't believe we saw connect to anybody last game, so definitely going to be looking for a chance to be able to maybe pull Nob, or maybe he's going to have to use it on Mebius just to get this pressure relieved. But Andi is looking very menacing up on that left side, and after what he did to them last game, you have to think that Inner Circle is going to be aware of that.
Yeah, he's going in for Rama once more. Finds the kill as well. Purple button pop by Nez. And he's trying to get the kill on the Carl, but he gets taken out instead on the other side with Day going in to clean up Mebius. It's going to give enough time for Nob to pick up a few more gems and possibly... Oh, he gets pulled! That is terrible for Nob. He didn't expect that pull. And all of the gems, Amazon Prime delivery to Reverso.
Yep, right when Nob least expected it, right when we least expected it, DA is going to finally connect a magic hand in this set. He's going to be sitting on 15 gems right now, and Andi just has to do a little bit of distracting and body blocking. The super is going down from Rama in the corner, but it's not going to be enough, and we are going to see Reverso getting on the board with a set win on Gem Fort. They're going to be down 1-2 to Inner Circle still, but maybe we'll see a little bit of that Reverso sweep action that we saw yesterday against Humble. Hopefully they'll be able to actually finish it off this time, but definitely a very, very strong bounce back set from them. I was incredibly impressed with Andi's ollie in that set as well.
Yeah, he's been really good at ollie. I feel like even in the first set, which they lost in Dueling Beetles, he was a phenom with that ollie, which is so good at positioning it, getting those kills in, getting those hypnosises off. But obviously, they didn't have the composition to really make it work out. I feel like in the last set, they did have the composition and they played it really well, despite Rama's best efforts. It didn't work out in their favor. I feel like the Carl pick was surprisingly underwhelming. I felt like Rama did a bang-up job as a Rico just addressing ollie when he went up against it in the, I feel like, the last game of the gem grab set. But Chester, it was just nobody was able to address Chester. I feel like Chester was the biggest reason as to why Reverso won. It was just too strong.
Yeah, the Chester pick was fantastic, and that's kind of, he's in an interesting spot because everybody pretty much unanimously agrees that Chester's one of the best brawlers in the game, but we don't typically see him banned out all that often, and especially on a map like Gem Fort, the Chester can just be so dominant. I definitely liked the bow mid as well, but I feel like it was a little bit underwhelming, especially in pro play, since the mines are pretty easy to communicate with your team and dodge out of. It just didn't really end up making a single connection with the super, whereas DA, obviously, with that magic hand, you are just going to be able to kind of will your way into a pull if you're super locked in the way that DA was there. So that was fantastically played. I liked Rama's gameplay on the Rico, but I'm still just not as confident if it was the best pick. But either way, both of these teams are going to have to refine their drafts as we move into set number 4. It's going to be bridge too far. We see Lumi, Juju, Melody, Bo, Amber, and Piper all banned out, and Reverso is going to take that first pick, Angelo. And on one of the maps with the most water on it, this makes absolute sense to me, Panda.
Yeah, it's a beautiful early pick. It has quite a high pick rate as well, this Angelo, on a map like this. But I feel like Colt is something that we see a lot of the time because it's not really in the bans. I don't think it's a bannable brawler. It's something that you can address, but it's just so good at that damage output that you see being picked up very often with a pretty decent pick rate, win rate as well. Bell is also open, and we know how good Bell traps are on a map like this. And Bloa as well could be paired up with a Bell. Or maybe you could go, because the bow isn't there, so you can pair up the Lola with the Bell and it would be great. But Inner Circle go for the Chuck, and I feel like a lot of times we forget about the Chuck. I mean, when I say we, I mean me. And the Eve's going to be coming out as well for Inner Circle. So Reverso have to address Chuck by not addressing Chuck and going for some guaranteed safe damage.
Yeah, I do like the Chuck pick. I'm a little bit more suspicious on the Eve pick. I get that it is a water map and you kind of do want to have that maneuverability, but overall they already don't have the most damage with the Eve, so it looks like they are probably going to be relying on the Eve more for defense and the Chuck more for offense. There are still a bunch of dive brawlers and defense brawlers still on the board, and we are going to see the ultimate damage dealer himself, Colt, come off the board for Reverso Gaming, as well as the Bell. I think that the Bell is a fantastic pick into the Eve, since you are able to even counter out the babies a little bit with some of those bounce shots. Obviously, Colt is going to be here for safe damage, but Reverso has a very, very well-rounded comp in my opinion. Obviously, on a map with a lot of range, they have 3 ranged options, and even though the Chuck is going to be a little bit difficult to deal with, the Angela with that 4K shot just kind of charged up and auto-aimed straight onto his face could be a little bit more, or could be enough to deal with that. Overall, though, I think that this game is going to have to be a little bit more of a base race from the side of Reverso. I don't think that they have the best Chuck defense, especially not with Inner Circle picking up a Byron with the last pick. So he's going to be getting his pit stops in, he's going to be getting fueled back up and then hitting the road. I'm very intrigued by both of these comps. I see 2 quite different strategies. Reverso trying to play a little bit more long-range skill game and trying to hit that safe from afar, whereas Inner Circle is just going to be juicing up their Chuck and sending him straight back into the action.
Yeah, I like this Inner Circle composition. It's very mindful of what the objective of the meta is. I think Reverso can be great if they can hold on control for a lot of the time, but honestly, they have to ignore the Chuck. If they don't ignore the Chuck, then it's going to be basically game over for them. But I think Colt is going to be the fulcrum for Reverso's composition as we go into game 1 of set number 4 between Inner Circle and Reverso, with Inner Circle having the lead at 2-1.
Yep, and it looks like Nob is going to be kind of left on defense by himself as DA and Andy are going to be raining these shots onto the safe. We do see the Chuck moving up onto the safe, taking a little bit of a lead for Inner Circle as of right now. My eyes are on Nez right here. If he's going to be able to get onto the safe, which he is right now, then that's going to be a ton of damage coming through from the side of Reverse. So they have all 3 members on safe right now, and they're going to take a significant lead. Chuck is still just kind of chilling up on the safe, but Andy is getting these picks, and they're just getting so much damage with only 7k HP remaining on the safe. DA is doing what he can to try to finish it, but there is still over 35% left on the safe of Reverso, so they are definitely doing a good enough job ignoring the Chuck for now, and that is going to be all she wrote right there with the Angelo Pierce shot coming through to finish off the safe. Overall, it looks like you were pretty much right with your analysis, Panda. If they can ignore the Chuck and get onto the safe, this is going to be a W for Reverso, so it looks like Inner Circle might have to refine their strategy a bit, play a little bit better defense in game number 2.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying here. Inner Circle, they have a really good winning composition as well. It's not to say that they don't, but they have to play this one very careful. And you see them tripling up on the left lane, Reverso on the other side. They're completely ignoring the Chuck, and the Chuck is completely ignoring them. Right now, it's up to Mebius and Nop to at least take out 1 or 2 members of Reverso to slow down a little bit of the onslaught that they're going to be facing here, and they're doing a pretty bang up job. Nob's still very much alive. He's got his hashlings as well. They've managed to address one, they managed to address the second, but we have a powered up Nez on the save. He's completely barreling down. On the other side though, they finally do address the Chuck, which is on their own save.
Those were great kills from Inner Circle, but they missed the one that was by far the most important with Nez on the Colt. So they are going to take the lower or the worst side of that interaction. Obviously, a lot of safe damage coming in from both teams with Chuck going back onto the safe, but this damage is just going to keep raining in from Reverso. If they're not able to deal with Nez immediately, this might be over. They only have 6% left on their safe. With Rama on the Chuck, though, this could definitely still be in play with only 20%. Reverso's gonna have to play some defense here. Otherwise, the Chuck might be able to end it right here and now. And he is going to.
Ooh.
Fantastically played to Rama and his teammates to buy him enough time to be able to get that W right there. That's pretty much exactly what Reverso was asking for, though. Just a little bit extra defense, and they're going to be able to get their Chuck onto the safe to do all that extra work and all that extra damage. So fantastically played on the defensive end to allow the Chuck to kind of just ignore the defense and just play offense the entire game.
Yeah, beautiful stuff coming for Inner Circle. They've adapted to what Reverso brought. And now let's see if Reverso can figure out what the special sauce is. We're going to go to game number 3, the last one of this set. It could also be the last game altogether because Inner Circle are actually on match point here, with lots of damage rolling in from Nez and Ondi. Ondi gets taken out because of the poison damage, but Nez completely unaddressed here, and he's going to be getting a lot more damage on the objective. Finally, with the splash, he gets taken out, and Mebi is still healing up Rama, trying to give him enough of time to set up those posts. And so far, it's a pretty even game. Reverse will have a slight lead, but that can be cut down short really fast.
Definitely, but Inner Circle's just going to have to do a better job in general of getting Nez off of the safe here. He's been able to get onto the safe a little bit too easily, in my opinion, and that's just kind of been the death of them. But Mebius is hitting some fantastic Byron taps right now. Rama is continuing to trickle down the safe as both safes sit around 50% right now. But overall, the longer this game goes, the more consistent damage the Chuck is going to be able to get. So as long as they can keep Nez off of the safe, this is looking like it could be Reverso's final match if Inner Circle is able to pick up this W. It's going down to 20% with this Chuck dive, and it's pretty much now or never. Nez is going to get taken down, though, and with 10% left, I don't think they have enough to stop Rama, and it looks like that is almost 100% going to do it. There's no way that they'll be able to stop the train here, and that is going to do it for Inner Circle. They're going to win 3 sets to 1 set against Reverso with a fantastic comeback in that final heist set. I definitely expected Reverso to take that after the way that game 1 went.
Yeah, it was beautiful stuff coming in from Inner Circle. I felt like Reverso probably did have a little bit of the sauce, but at the end of the day, it just seemed like Inner Circle weren't really pressured at all. They were completely holding true to their strategy, which was, just dive, let the Chuck do its thing, and Nob just cleaning up a little bit more of how he was playing. Mebius as well. He landed a lot of those Byron shots, completely shut down Cole. So beautiful stuff coming in from Inner Circle. And this is what I say about this team. It is so unpredictable. You never know what you're going to be getting. It's like a mixed bag of tricks. And as a result, we see them going 3-0 against Reverso Gaming. Next match on the docket is going to be Team Heretics versus Reply Totem, but we will be back after a short break. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OWN Masters Valencia, match day number 3 of this league phase. I am your host, Panicast, joined by the amazing Duncan. We have had one game today, which went very, very dominantly to Inner Circle. They won 3-0 against Reverso in a complete stomp, actually, which is quite unexpected. We did see some signs of life in the last set by Reverso. Sorry, 3-1. Sorry. We did see some signs of life from the last set from Reverso, but it didn't really pan out much for them at the end because they weren't able to force the set number 5. I feel like the hijinks of Ramo was a little bit too much for them to handle. But for now, we're going to go to Team Heretics versus Reply Totem, one of the most anticipated matches of today, and I guess in general. Team Heretics, Drage, iChaos, Lana. We have Reply Totem, Mori, Maru, and Angel Boy, and I'm looking forward to this one.
Definitely. We have two teams sitting at 1-1 through two days of league play. So whichever team is able to come out on top of this is definitely going to be in a much better position at 2-1 here. But these are both teams that are able to beat the best of the best and also sometimes falter to the teams that we don't really expect as much from. So a little bit of consistency issues across the board from both Heretics and Totem. Definitely going to be looking forward to see which team is going to be more locked in today and be able to perform to the highest of their abilities, because we both know that these are teams that are so good when they're at their peak, Panda.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, both these teams are undeniably back after what we saw in the last few match days. And I don't know, the synergy, the read of the game from Team Heretics, and the unpredictability and prowess of Reply Totem are going to be on display. They're going to be at and head, and I'm not sure which way the results are going to be going, but whichever way it's going to be going, one thing is for certain: it's the viewers are the ones who are going to be winning today for sure.
Absolutely. The viewers can never lose when we see these two teams go at it, man. I mean, we've had some pretty electric games in both day 1 and day 2 from both of these guys right here. We had Heretics in day 1, they lost to SK. They did end up getting swept. And then in day 2, they bounced back very strong against Eclipsar, whereas Totem was able to sweep Reverso, and then they lost to SK 3-2 sets. So they've been competing with the best of the best here, but both teams sitting at 1-1 right now. Obviously, like we've said, it's going to be a lot of ups and a lot of downs from both of them, but these are two teams that I also just love to watch draft, especially Team Heretics is able to pull out some of the most off-meta picks and end up making it work out there. Drage is kind of a mastermind, an evil mastermind behind the draft sometimes. I take back the evil part, Drage. Love you, man. But definitely excited to see what they're going to be able to pull out here as we go into set number 1, Panda, which is going to be Super Beach.
Indeed, we have our bands. They're going to be Lumi, B, Lou, Chester, Stu, and El Primo. That is interesting that El Primo is banned, and I feel like it's a little hard to ban against Team Heretics because they go with a little bit of an unorthodox flavor to their compositions here. But with the Lumi being banned out from Team Heretics side, I think it's safe to say that Reply Totem probably have the first pick here.
I would have to agree with that. So definitely looks like Reply Totem is having some interesting bans here. I guess they're a little bit worried about the Primo last pick, which makes a lot more sense now that we're seeing who they had cooking with the first pick. They're going to go with the Jackie, so I understand why they would want to ban the Primo into that, as well as the Chester, of course. Heretics is going to immediately lock in a Poco Frank, though, looking to have a little bit of that tank with the extra range that might be able to tank some of that Jackie damage and still be able to stun her out. Obviously, the heals of the Poco are going to be massively impactful there, so definitely a pretty beefy comp coming in from both teams so far, Panda.
It almost seems like I'm seeing a battle unfold in the draft itself, because there's like different ideas at a head against each other. I love this, honestly. Reply Totem have the next 2 picks here. Buster is available, and I feel like Buster is a really easy answer to the Frank here. I think that might be a possibility, but the thing is, sustain. Poco sustain is going to be huge for Team Heretics, and I don't know if Reply Totem have the ability to completely nullify everything that Team Heretics is going to be bringing to them, even if they do go for that Buster. But they're not going to go for it. They're going to go for a max along with the Larry Lori. The max with the Jackie speed is going to be great, but I'm still a little concerned. I don't know if they have what it takes to really stare down that Frank.
Yeah, I'm kind of questioning the amount of damage coming out from the side of Reply Totem. Obviously, with the Poco Frank, that's going to be so much HP that you need to whittle down over the course of this game. and they have a thrower and a max. So I mean, I just don't really know if they're gonna have the damage required to stop Heretics from poking it through a couple of times. Larry is a pretty decent thrower on this map, as well as the help of the Lori should be nice, but we're gonna see Heretics taking a thrower of their own with the final pick of this draft being the Barley. And I do typically like Barley into a Larry as far as a thrower 1v1 goes. I think that Reply Totem is going to have to coordinate their pushes extremely well, borderline flawlessly, to be able to get away with this, as Heretics is just going to have that HP advantage with that Poco Frank. Curious to see if they can collab to take him down.
Yeah, we're going to be heading into our first set of the second match of the day. It's Team Heretics versus Reply Totem on Super Beach as we go ahead into game number 1 here. And Frank's just going to be moving up very slowly but surely. We have the Herbal Tonic on Barley as well, just for even more heals. Nice stun from Frank. Chaos should be able to get the kill onto Maru. And he does, almost whiffs it, but they are able to get a comfortable goal within 20 seconds of the game starting, Duncan.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. Lenard never looked back. He just walked in a straight exact line up the left side of the map. Chaos gave us a little bit of a scare at the end there, but that was never really in question at the end of the day. We just see these heals coming in from the Barley and the Poco onto the Frank, but the Frank is going to go down for the first time. Lenard taking his first death of this set. I guess second death of the set, but Drage is going to be kind of moving back onto the backlines as now Maru is the tank to watch in his power position up here. Lenon's going to be trying to stop him from getting in there, but he is just going to be keeping on, trying to get away on this right side bias team a little bit of time.
Ooh, nice corner of the ball there. Mari going to be going up into Chaos. He should be able to get the kill. The ball goes to Mari. He's able to get that one in, and Totem able to reply within another 30 seconds or so.
Yeah, so now we see what can happen when they do end up dealing with the Frank inevitably. They are going to be able to get a little bit of a counter push going with the Jackie leading the way, but now we're going to see them reset. Team Heretics moving up the map right here. Lenard is going to miss his stun. Maru's going to be doing all he can to buy a little bit more time here, but the Barley super might be too oppressive. Heretics is looking like they're probably going to be able to score here, and in fact they are, with Lenard slotting it in. That push was just a little bit too much for Totem to overcome.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I mean, I was surprised that Totem were able to even get a goal in, I'll be honest, because Heretics just looks so indomitable. We're gonna go into game number 2. Maybe Totem have something special up their sleeve.
Yeah, they're going to need to have something special up their sleeve. I feel like if they don't kill the Frank very early into this game and get a little bit of a counter push going there with Maru running up, but he's going to get absolutely shredded that time. Same goes for Lenada, so we're going to have a 2v2 right here. Both teams, I would assume, are going to take a little bit of their time off here and wait for their tanks to get back into the action.
Indeed, and now we have all the members of Totem trying to move up on the map, but they do have the speed coming in from Angel Boy. Maury's going to be moving up here. Lenard is just so tanky, so beefy, and Drake is just making sure that he's healthy, along with the Herbal Tonic from Chaos to keep everybody up and up. And I think it's really difficult for Totem to really aggress against this composition, but Drake's being taken down. Lenard might be the next to fall. Chaos certainly falls, and that should be a goal-scoring opportunity, and they are able to capitalize. So within 45 seconds, Reply Totem are already on the board.
That was super well played by Maru right there on the Jackie. He definitely executed his push into Lenon's Frank very well, but Lenon's going to be moving up on the right side of the map, switching up the strategy a little bit, trying to get onto the thrower right there. We see the hypercharge come down for Drake. She's going to be running into the face of Mori on the Larry right there. There's a lot of damage going down here. It looks like Totem is on the back foot right now as Mari's going to go for the super shot, and he actually makes it. Wow. So he found the one tiny area that he would be able to slot that ball in, and he went for it. That was a crazy execution, high risk, high reward play there. I cannot believe that shot went in, Panda.
I can't believe they let him take that shot. That's kind of crazy. I don't think anybody expected that to happen in that scenario, but, you know, heads up play from him to capitalize on the sleeping team Heretics. We're going to go into game number 3, and this one's going to be deciding who wins the set here. It's a pretty fast set, all things considered. Maru getting a double kill. He has the ball. He's going to be able to get that one in. I didn't think he needs to use the super there, but just for some surety, they are able to lock that first goal in very fast.
Totem is capitalizing on every small mistake from Team Heretics right here. Heretics has got to lock in if they want to win this one right now. Lenon's going for the super, but he's probably going to get deleted by Angel Boy. And now with their main line of defense down, it's just going to be on Drage and Chaos as Maru is just going to be able to walk it in easily. And they're going to bring back this Brawl set in a surprising fashion. That was an incredibly quick comeback right there.
They forced me to eat my words. That was crazy, the way they were able to completely blitz. And that was a blitz of Team Heretics. Reply Totem are looking very fierce. That was crazy. I didn't expect that.
I didn't expect it at all either. I thought that the Frank into the Jackie matchup was definitely going to be in Heretic's favor, but Maru was just getting so wiggly, so slimy, and it's so incredibly fast with that Jackie gadget as well. That was just masterfully executed plays from Totem. They never wasted an opportunity to get a goal, whereas Heretics was kind of fumbling around a little bit when they got into scoring position.
Yeah, I feel like after the first loss, we saw Totem locking in, and then we didn't see as many mistakes coming in from Totem, and they exploited every small micro misplay being brought out by Team Heretics. So heads up plays all around from Reply Totem. They really, finessed Team Heretics, and I think that Heretics need to clean up the way they're playing this as we go into the next set, which is Hideout. Maybe you might see something different, because I don't believe Hideout is the best map for Reply Totem.
We saw a lot of running it down in set number 1. Hideout's probably going to be a little bit more sitting back and poking, but I'm excited to see what we're going to go with here. Obviously, this is a bounty map that does allow for a little bit more of aggressive picks than typically, but we've seen Buster here, we've seen Ollie here, we've seen Kit and Leon here as well, so definitely a lot of options on the board as we go into our bans. Looks like Heretics is going to be banning Buster, Gray, and Max. Totem banning out the Ollie, Jean, and Lumi. So expecting the first pick on Heretics, and it is going to be an Angelo, who is definitely a menace on this map with the pure shots.
Indeed, it's very meta pick. It's quite a high pick rate, quite a high win rate as well. Another one which rivals it in terms of the win rate is going to be a Pearl, but let's see when that happens. We did see Kid coming out with a Pearl, I think, earlier on in one of the previous match days. I don't remember which match specifically that it did come out in, but other brawlers that are still available are Bell, and we have, wow, Totem really like the Leon on this map, so they go for Leon along with the RT, and I think that Angel Boy and the Leon is a very, very big threat. You have to be careful about how you're going up against them, but we see Heretics going for the Pearl along with the Carl, and like I said, Pearl has a very high win rate, and I think Team Heretics are cognizant of that fact, which is why they prompted that pick.
Yeah, it looks like they went for a little bit more high HP brawlers that can still hang at long range with the Pearl and the Carl. Probably going to be very aware of the Leon supers there. Pearl is definitely a great counter to that, especially at the end of the game. I really do like the RT pick, though, from Reply Totem. I feel like that should prevent the Carl from getting any dive plays right there, but overall, just such a significant, or such a sturdy brawler with the range, with the anti-tank capabilities, and they're going to add a Meeple with the last pick, who we don't see too often in Bounty in general, but with his like limited range there. But that super can be so menacing, especially if we get into a position at the end of the game where Heretics potentially has the lead and they're trapped in their unspawn. That Meeple super can definitely be a game winner right there. Overall, though, I do like the comps of both of these teams. Maybe a little bit less range overall than I was expecting to see, though.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like some of these maps, which used to be classically long range maps, have now completely changed into mid aggression, and we see that a lot in terms of the composition from Reply Totem, who are, very much doubling down on that. We're gonna go into game number 1 off the second set. Totem took the first one and managed the Meeple on the right hand side. The blue star being collected by Lana early on, already putting Heretics on the front foot.
Yep, we see Lenon is going to be on that flying hook Carl gadget, so he's not going to have any of the Carl fire for the rest of the game. Not really anybody that he can super well dive into besides potentially the Meeple, but Lenon is getting pushed back incredibly hard. He's going to have to use a super to escape from that situation. Drage and Chaos trying to buy him a little bit of time, but Chaos is weak as well, and we're going to see Drage get full boxed over here by Maru on the Meeple. The positioning is definitely looking like it's on the side of Totem through the beginning part of this game.
Indeed, Maru. Ooh, nice snipe coming in for my Chaos. Able to thread that needle, gets the kill onto Maru. And that's going to extend the lead for the side of Team Heretics. But they are still very much on the back lines here as super being brought out by Maru. And Lana immediately identifying the threat and uses his super to get out, gadget to get out of that situation.
And the Meeple box is going to fully trap Drage on the top of the map too, so they are going to be able to get away with another kill from that. But Team Heretics is still going to be sitting on a 3-2 star lead right now. Angel Boy's using his Leon invisibility coming into Chaos's face right here, though, and he's going to be able to pop that super and escape. Angel Boy might have overextended in order to try to make that play, but Drage is full boxed with Maru on the Meeple. Maru actually full boxed himself too, so is he going to be able to get out? He is not. Chaos sitting with 5 stars on his head is carrying Team Heretics right now.
Indeed, Heretics with a 5-star lead, that's going to be huge. But I just love the way Chaos is playing this. He's been really clean with his with his Angelo here. Angel Boy going in Viz. He's trying to flank against Drage. Should be able to get the kill here. No, Drage is actually able to get his gadget off. Angel Boy going in, manages to get enough healing to survive there in that interaction. And Chaos also falls. Team Heretics in the dying seconds of the match in a terrible position. And it just keeps getting worse for them. It's a nightmare.
That was such a well-executed push at the end of that game from Totem, especially Mori with the RT taps to be able to take out Chaos on the Angelo with all the stars there. If they were ever able to kill that Angelo and retreat, that was more or less going to be game, and that's exactly what they did. But I got to give some credit to the Meeple there too. He was able to get way more supers than I would have anticipated there. He used his boxes to the best of his ability, and the box with that super combination can be so entrapping for the side of Totem right there. Very well played though. I definitely thought that Heretics was going to be able to run away with that after the way Chaos is playing.
I also like the synergy between the RT and the Leon. It's been working out pretty well to keep Lana low when he dares to go in and Mori gets those marks off. So that's a pretty good decision here. But so far, it's a blue star for the side of Team Heretics here. But we did see Heretics have a very good early game the previous game, and it completely fell apart for them halfway through. So hopefully this time around, they aren't going to be, punished too much. But the Mansions of Meeples actually come out to save the teammate there to reply Totem. So really great Meeple plays.
That was a great Meeple play, but it looks like he did overextend to save his teammate there. He's going to go down, but then Angel Boy is going to trade out Drage. So we are going to see Heretics with a blue star lead right now. Both teams at 3 stars overall. And Totem does have pretty high up positioning on the right side of the map here with the Meeple box coming through and the Meeple super as well. Looks like Drage is going to be forced to kind of use a super to escape from that situation, but Team Heretics is fully pushed back into their spawn. Lenane's trying to be aggressive to get a little bit of room here, and well played by Heretics to evade some of that pressure.
Nice gadget from Drage. He finds that kill. That's exactly what they need in that moment there. 40 seconds left. Angel Boy's still here in the grass competing. He goes for his super. It's going to be healed up, but gets found out by Drage almost immediately. Lena's going to be the target there, but Lena just manages to get back alive because of Drage using the gadget there. So ends up play from Drage to keep his teammates cognizant of the fact of all the threats that exist. Chaos popping the purple button. He's looking very serious here.
Yeah, Chaos is going to have to go for a peer shot there. He does connect onto the Meeple. It looks like they learned their lesson from last game. They are not going to get fully pushed back into the spawn right now. And Drage connects yet another gadget. He has gotten so much value out of those gadgets in this game. Totem does not look strong enough to make a real push to win this game, and it looks like it is going to be Heretics coming out on top with Chaos adding a little cherry on top right there. Very well played by Heretics to learn from their mistakes from game number 1 and evade getting pushed fully back into the spawn at the end of the game right there.
Yeah, I like the way Heretics played this one. They were much cleaner with their interactions, and this time we didn't have Drage actually falling way too much. I felt like in the first game he did happen to die too often for my liking, but in the second game he has corrected that, so that is definitely great for Team Heretics as we go into this third and final game of the second set. If Heretics did win this one, they're going to be able to equalize in terms of the score, but nice way to box them in with the Mansions of Meeple. Maru is completely a phenom here, but he gets taken out by Drage.
I have no idea how Drage was able to land that much damage when they were both fully boxed in right there, but well played to Drage. He's been getting so much value out of this Pearl pick. I know that's a pick you like quite a bit, Panda, but he has been absolutely cooking with the gadgets. Lenan is going in on one of his signature brawlers, the Carl 2, and that was a beautiful kill, able to escape. So now he's got 3 stars in the blue star, and we're going to see a 5-star lead sitting on Team Heretics right now. They are a little bit pushed back, but overall not too much for them to worry about yet.
Ooh, this time Drage doesn't get caught out there, so he is quite lucky in that scenario. And so far we see Totem completely pushing Team Heretics back into spawn. It is a 5-star lead, but in terms of positioning, I'm not too confident for Team Heretics.
Yeah, they're definitely looking pretty trapped here, especially with Angel Boy coming in with the Leon Super. He's going to be able to take out iChaos right there. Lenan is trying to keep Angel Boy out of here, but he's fully cycled Leon Supers there, and he's going back for round number 2 right now. Maybe going to be going for Lenan iChaos there. They're definitely aware of what's going down, but Mori has his RT Super back there too as well, so they could be in the verge of making a very massive play right here. The Team Heretics is doing everything they can do to keep them away, but there is just so much pressure on the side of Totem.
Gotta say, valiant effort from Team Heretics to push them and keep them at bay. I felt like it's already a pretty hard task considering the opposition that they're going up against. So heads up play from them. But Lena does have his hypercharge. Nice push back. iChaos would be taken out first from Team Heretics, Angel Boy pops his purple button, but so does Lana as a response here. It is still anybody's game, but with 6 seconds in the clock, it's looking very scary here for both teams. And finally, though, we see Team Reply Totem taking the dub after getting a kill on Rage.
He got the kill with the meeple box. You don't see that in Brawl Stars too often. That was an insane shot right there with the extended radius of that meeple box doing like only about 1,000 damage, but it was more than enough to do the job right there. And we saw Heretics, after defending their backlines for so long, finally lose one member. Super unfortunate for them, but Totem just had all the pressure when it mattered the most in this set.
Yeah, Totem's already taken 2 sets away from Team Heretics, which is something that I didn't expect. And the first one was completely a stomp after the first game. But this one was very hotly contested. I felt like the majority of the game we saw Team Heretics out on top and in front of everybody, like in front and center. But something just happened in so many games where they just completely fell apart. And I felt like that was just heartbreak as a fan.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the struggles for Team Heretics came with the Angelo pick is obviously incredibly strong, but if you miss a couple of shots, you're going to give up so much positioning there, considering how long it does take to charge a real Angelo shot. So in game number 1, when iChaos was just hitting everything, you saw that they were able to walk away with it pretty easily. But in game 2 and game 3, Totem were able to wiggle a couple more of those shots and kind of take that to get free positioning right there and have them trapped at the end of the game. And if you've watched competitive bounty before, then you know if you are trapped in your spawn at the end of the game, you're more often than not going to win that. But that was a very good set from Reply Totem right there to take a 2-0 lead as we go into set number 3 out in the open.
Indeed, and our draft is here. We are going to have the bans. They're going to be Angelo, Jean, Lumi, Juju, Eve, and Kit. Reply Totem with their first pick go for the Buster, and Buster very heavily picked on this map and very heavily won on this map as well. RT is probably something that Team Heretics are going to be looking to use, and Max is also open, so the RT Max option could be a possibility here, but wouldn't be right to keep out Lily from the equation here. But they go for the Max along with the Carl, so that is an interesting pick here.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all from Team Heretics. I mean, with all of the water brawlers being Angelo, Eve, and Juju banned, as well as the Jean, I feel like these are 2 pretty solid options. Obviously not the best range on either of them, but Reply Totem did go for a Buster first pick, so not going to be a whole lot of range to go around the map here overall. I think it makes sense to take the Max away from Reply Totem as well. If they were able to get that Max Buster synergy, that could be diabolical at the end of the game. So I like the draft from Heretics so far. Curious to see what Totem is going to be adding here, but a brawler that I would have my eye on is the Pearl that we saw in the last game, as well as potentially the Bow could be a pretty solid option to deal with them in the end game, and he has just a little bit more DPS than people give him credit for. But overall, I'm definitely curious what they're going to add to this Buster comp, and it looks like it will be a Meeple and a Buzz, so a rare double tank out in the open. That is a little bit... Oh, okay, never mind, not the Buzz, it's the Gus. That makes a little bit more sense. So we're going to see a Sniper with a little bit of support, and then Meeple obviously is just so imposing with that box gadget, able to do so much value.
Indeed, and we see Team Heretics running on their composition with a Squeak. So Squeak is going to do quite a number with the gadget, especially at the start, I'm guessing, in the open. When people try to get into the mid, Squeak's gadget is probably going to get the most value at that point in time. But I like the composition from Reply Totem. They have so much to sustain. They have a lot of utilities which round them out really well, but I feel like the explosiveness of the max speed along with the Carl super is something that we need to keep track of. But I feel like into the Buster can just use the gadget and remove the Carl super from the equation altogether.
Yeah, definitely. I think Buster is going to be the player to watch here. It looks like it's going to be Maru manning the Buster for now, but we are seeing this game get started right here. Team Heretics needs to be able to win this to keep this set going, but they're going to be occupying the right side of the map right now, and it is going to be a pretty horizontal game so far with Drage facing off Angel Boy. Angel Boy's landing a lot of Gus shots right now. He's got to be close to his Cookie Poppers if he doesn't have it already.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He has it here, and Luna is just getting completely outclassed as Maru on the right-hand line. He gets a kill on the Drage rather, and that is a really great start for Reply Totem. They've already taken down one of the biggest threats for Team Heretics here.
Ooh. Yeah, it looks like Drage was a little bit out of position, but then once again, Angel Boy gets out of position as well. Chaos is able to capitalize with a Squeak super to the face. Heretics is completely pushed back in their spawn right now, and with that Meeple super, there's not going to be anything they can do about it to clutch the 2v2 right there. Well played by Mori to use that wall to his advantage at the very end of the game. I think we're going to need to see Drage play a little bit more cautiously here. He definitely got caught out of position at the very top of the map and allowing himself to get Buster pulled.
Indeed, there is a hypercharge from Maru. He doesn't find Rage. He's going to be pretty low. Gets taken out himself, and that was very unfortunate for him in that scenario. But Mori finding the trade on La is going to be huge. Now Rage going in with his hypercharge, so his speed. Gets the kill, though, on an Angel Boy. Now it's going to be a 1v2. Chaos is going to be the mark for Mori, but he's going to be taken out by Drage or by Chaos, and that's exactly what happens. It is a 1-1 tie for the round score, and this last one is going to decide who wins the first game.
We're seeing some crazy plays here. It looks like both teams are playing a little bit aggressive, potentially a little bit sloppy, but we've seen a lot of early picks compared to what we typically see in professional level knockout. But we are going to be going into the next game. Winner is going to take first game. Chaos does have his Squeak hypercharge as well as Lanam with the Carl hypercharge. He's going to be going in. Chaos is going to be going in, and that is going to take out Mari nice and easily. So we see positioning here on the side of Team Heretics. Drage has a speed as well. It might be very difficult for Totem to break out of the spawn trap.
Yeah, nigh impossible almost at this point. Maru is not even close to Angel Boy, so he can't even get his hypercharge at this point. So not looking too promising for Reply Totem, but they have no real options here. They have to make something happen here. And wow, Maru gets killed on Chaos. It's going to be a 1v2, but for sure, that's going to be game number 1 for Team Heretics.
Yeah, we've seen a crazy amount of early deaths in these knockout games so far, but overall, very well played to Team Heretics to bounce back. After a little bit of a sloppy game number 1 defeat, they played so much better as a team. Drage was able to help his teammates finish off those kills when needed, especially going into a Meeple 1v1 when he has that super. You're definitely going to need a little bit of extra help, and Drage did a great job supplying that for his team. So I'm looking forward to seeing both teams maybe take it a little bit slower, be a little bit more cautious this time, but we see Lana get fully trapped on the left side. He might have a little bit of trouble surviving this, and he does in fact die. That Meeple gadget just getting so much value there, Panda.
For sure, Mars is also pretty low, but they aren't able to address him just yet. Draged with the phase shifter, tries to find a kill, gets taken out by Angel Boy, and now it is the lone Squeak Chaos against the entirety of Reply Totem, and I don't exactly envy the position he's in.
I don't think that he's going to be looking to do too much here. Probably going to be trying to get his super a little bit before that smoke comes in. But I respect Rage going for the kill right there. Kind of had to make something happen. But overall, this is definitely going to be a Totem round win here. And you see Mario's just charging up his hypercharge with his teammate sitting right there. So Totem's getting even more value than they bargained for here. Chaos is definitely looking for the first opportunity to walk into that gas. But with how quickly this game has went, it is not still came up yet. There it is, finally.
Yeah, Chaos, I feel like he overstayed his welcome in that last round there, and he gave too much of value to Totem by way of all the supers that they have and all the hypercharges as well. So I don't know if that was the best decision. We're gonna go in round number 2. Hypercharge is with Maru, but he does pop it, doesn't get too close. A Rage with a super here. He has a speed, but they're boxed in altogether. Mori should be able to find the kill on a Chaos, and he tries, but he's very low, and he gets fired up by Lana, which is unfortunate for him. But the shield online, but Mori finding the kill on Lana. Nonetheless, that was crazy.
That was fantastically played by Angel Boy to keep his Meeple alive right there, and he is hitting all of these taps too onto iChaos. And the Meeple full box coming in, he's got the Meeple super ready as well. Mori's played a fantastic Meeple this game, I might add. But it looks like Heretics is going to be losing this game 2-0 right now. Drage is left in a 3v1 all by himself. Mara is going in all shielded up, and that is going to do it. So we are going to have our knockout set tied up right here. Totem is moving on to match point, Panda.
Yeah, Reply to him looking really clean. I feel like Heretics are just spread out too thin, like a little bit of butter over a very large piece of toast, and it's not really working out well for them. Hopefully they know what they're doing as we go into possibly the final game of this match, but hopefully not. It's going to be the 3rd game of set number 3.
Yep, and we're going to see Chaos manning the left side that Lanan had been manning right now. So it looks like they are going to be switching up the strategy a little bit on the side of Team Heretics. Lanan is going to get pulled by Maru, though, and he might get caught out here. He is going to get caught out here. Maru's still alive, but he is going to go down as well. We are left in a 2v2, but Heretics' positioning is not looking the best, especially when you consider Totem does have a Meeple on their side that can fully eliminate them once they have them in the spawn like this, and he has a super. But great shot from Chaos to eliminate that pressure.
Yeah, that's a good gadget as well, just to move people out of that position. But I still like the positioning of Reply Totem a lot more than Team Heretics. And I feel like once the Meeple gets his super, it's going to be very hard for Team Heretics to really compete, realistically speaking. And we're just waiting for the speed to come online for Drage. But iChaos eating 2 of those shots, but not getting punished with that gadget from Angel Boy is kind of crazy. Angel Boy gets a kill on a Chaos. Strange is going to be the next to fall, certainly, against both Angel Boy and Mori. And that's going to be round number 1 for Reply Totem. They're 1 round away from sweeping Heretics 3-0.
Heretics has got to find an answer, and they need it now. Drage is using that speed to get them some early positioning, and it seems to be working out pretty well so far. Chaos is going to be letting that Squeak Super rip, but Lenane is fully boxed once again, and it looks like Maru is going to be moving up to try to capitalize on that. That's going to be another early kill onto Lana. Drage has to dash out of there, and Heretics is just looking like they are in a lot of trouble right here. They have just been outmanned by Totem today, and that is going to do it. Totem is going to win in a sweep.
Very unfortunate for Team Heretics and all the fans of Team Heretics, but Reply Totem fans are eating good tonight. That was a dominant display coming in from Reply Totem. I keep on saying a lot of these matches are closer than the scoreline suggests, but I feel like this one was more of a stomp from Totem than Team Heretics, really. I feel like there were so many mistakes being shown and exposed by Reply Totem when they were going up against Team Heretics, and these are a lot of things that you shouldn't see happening from a team which is in the monthly finals. So there are lots of problems that Team Heretics need to address as we go into the next few match days.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. I feel like we saw yesterday Lenane was cooking so incredibly hard on that Carl, and today it just was not looking the same. He got caught out so many times. There were so many early deaths from the members of Team Heretics there. It just seemed like there was a little bit sloppier gameplay overall today, and Totem did not give up an inch. They capitalized on every single mistake Heretics made and were able to walk away with a pretty convincing W because of it.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy, but next up is Eclipse Our Esport versus Ping Abusers. We finished 50% of the matches for this match day. Match number 11, or match number 3 of today, is going to be after a 3-minute break, and we will see you then. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OWN Masters Valencia match day number 3. I am your host, Panicast, joined by the amazing Duncan Brawl Stars. Make sure you follow him on YouTube and Twitch, and he does stream. I believe he's going to be streaming today at the end of the day, and he does daily content as well. So make sure you guys follow him, subscribe to him on on YouTube, and follow him on Twitch for sure. We're going to go into our third match of the day, and it's going to be Esports versus Ping Abusers. And how are you looking forward? I mean, are you looking forward to that match, or how are you? What's your headspace like for this?
I mean, of course, I'm looking forward to this match, man. I'm excited to see if Ping Abusers can continue off the momentum that they built up yesterday after a 3-0, incredibly upsetting sweep over Inner Circle Gaming. Nobody really expected that, especially after day one when Ping Abusers did get swept very, very cleanly by Humble. So definitely looking forward to see if they can continue to build up a little bit of that momentum, stay on the win column, maybe get themselves solidly into the playoff picture for this tournament. And then on the side of Eclipsar, that's a team we had a lot of expectations to coming into league play here, but they are sitting at 0-2 right now, so they're going to need to right the ship and get back into the W column here. Eclipsar has a lot on the line. Ping Abusers definitely has a chance to shock the world here, so I'm excited for this matchup, Panda.
Yeah, for sure. And just for a little bit of a reminder for people, first up of the first match of the day was Inner Circle versus Reverso Gaming, where Inner Circle took it 3-1 against Reverso, who were floundering about, but we saw some signs of life towards the end there, but unfortunately it didn't pan out for them. Next, we had Team Heretics versus Reply Totem, which was a stomp for Reply Totem as they took a 3-0 win against Team Heretics, which was very unprecedented, but definitely welcome for a lot of the fans in green. And now we have Eclipsar Esports versus Ping Abusers. And I'm not really used to saying this, but Eclipsar is at the bottom of the leaderboard in this tournament after losing to both Inner Circle and Team Heretics in a 1-3 scoreline. And considering that they're on the road for the Brawl Cup, this isn't, it doesn't bode well for their chances, right? So, but on the other hand, we have Ping Abusers, who are an enigma. They started off as outsiders, and that showed. I mean, they get swept by Humble, but they were able to competently, dismantle that Inner Circle yesterday with a stomp of 3-0 against them. So Inner Circle are overwhelming the favorites, but I don't hate the chances of Ping Abusers as we go into our first map. It's going to be Safe Zone, and the draft is online.
Yep, and we're going to see Melody, Lumi, Angelo, Daryl, Carl, and Colt all be banned here, so not too surprising on any of these bans. We do see Bell coming out with the first pick for Ping Abusers. Strikes me as a very safe pick here. Doesn't really get super hard countered by anything, so it seems like they are going to kind of put the ball into Eclipsar Esports hands to see what type of comp they want to go for. Ping Abusers more than happy to play a very sturdy mid brawler with Bell, especially with the Colt ban though. It seems like we are going to be seeing probably a little bit more ranged brawlers in play. We do see the Chuck escape the ban stage though, so I'm going to be a little bit looking out for that Chuck. That definitely could be a brawler that kind of makes or breaks a comp for one of these teams here.
Yeah, for sure. And we've seen Ping Abusers bring out unorthodox compositions. We actually are seeing an Eve along with the Chuck. I feel like Eclipsar Esports lost a lot of their high sets against Chuck, and now they've embraced it. They've understood that maybe if, you can't beat them, you got to join them. And that's what they're doing here.
Yeah, exactly. Not too surprised to see the Chuck come down. The Eve makes a lot of sense too, especially as far as controlling that mid goes. You don't need to worry about that initial wall break as much when you do have an Eve that can kind of just post up on that water and really just take so much control of the mid here. I still think that the Bell should fare finely into the Eve, and the Mark can be very useful for getting the Chuck pretty weak. But overall, Ping Abusers is going to have to get some safe damage dealers into their comp right here. Very curious what they're going to go at the 4-5 turn of this draft, especially considering Daryl and Carl are already banned, as well as the Melody, which are some of the brawlers with like decent range that do tend to do a lot of that safe damage.
This is why I like the Chuck pick, because Eclipsar Esports is cognizant of the fact that you need the Ping Abusers to go for something for safe damage, and Ping Abusers themselves have shot themselves in the foot with the bans that they have here, so they don't really have a good answer to the Chuck here right now. I think they could go for a bull or something, but I feel like on a map such as this, it's just too much of a desperate attempt.
That would definitely be a risky pick, but we are going to see another tank that we don't see as often anymore with the Draco. Definitely intrigued by that, especially considering B is still on the board. She is going to be taken by the side of Eclipsar to counter out that Draco. I don't mind the Amber pick as much. It can definitely do some good work on defense into the Chuck. And then also, as we saw in a couple of games yesterday, if you let that Amber up onto the safe, she more or less acts as a Melody and is able to get so much damage with that spinny gadget. But we're definitely seeing some unorthodox comps from both teams. It's been a while since I've seen Draco on a ranged heist map like this, but we're going to be getting straight into the game. Eclipsar is going to be our blue team here, with the B in the middle, and then Dawn's Eve is going to be trying to control the right side, as Chuck is just setting up his posts.
Indeed, and I have to say I prefer Eclipsar's composition, but I just want to see the unpredictability of Ping Abusers because they are such an unpredictable squad with how they're doing things here. And so far, mid control on the side of ECP, and they also have all their posts up, so it's not looking that great for Ping Abusers from the get-go.
Yeah, that's definitely a very, very quick Chuck setup here. Copy is going to be on the safe with the Draco, but not going to be able to do a whole lot. But we do see both safes are sitting pretty even right now. But obviously, Chuck doesn't really need to waste all that much time moving back up the map, just waiting for that super in order to go back in. And we see the side of Ping Abusers playing pretty much entire team defense right now, waiting for C7 to dive back in onto the safe, which he's going to do. They take that safe under 30%.
Good start for ECP here. Ping Abusers are definitely in the back, and the Chuck just keeps going in, getting 10 to 15% each time. And I feel like the writing is on the wall here at this point with Copy going in, but you know, it's a little bit of a death rattle as Eclipsar Esports take game number 1. Not really pressured at all here, Duncan.
Nope, they took that convincingly. I find myself questioning this Draco pick. I know a lot of people really do enjoy playing Draco, but especially in Heist, I just really don't know if he's going to have that type of damage that you would expect out of your tank. I feel like they might as well have went a Bull if they were going to go a Draco and just at least tried to dive onto the safe. Overall, though, the Chuck played pretty well. They were able to get their post set up incredibly quickly. Marco and Don doing enough work in the mid control to be able to allow him to get that safe damage, but unless Ping Abusers are able to get onto the safe on their own pretty early, we might just see the same thing run back again with this Draco being a little bit useless right now.
Indeed, and already Subim is able to set up, so very early setup once more from Subim. Copy gets kill on a Marco, and now we see some very good damage coming in from Ping Abusers on the safe here, and they do have a slight lead, but it's ever so slight as as the Chuck once more goes in.
Yep, and we're going to see that safe get a little bit closer down to 50%, but Covers is going to get onto the safe, maybe not with the full Amber gadget in all of its glory, but Copy is on the safe with his Draco Dragon right now. Yannick is also peppering it from the side lane, and we are going to see Ping Abusers take a little bit of a lead, but probably not significant enough as a lead, because Chuck is just going to continue to keep on diving into that safe. As that safe gets down to 20%, Ping Abusers has to make a stand here or get this damage very, very quickly, Panda.
Ooh, big hypercharge from Marco. Don gets kill on a Copy. This is looking really good for ECP as once more the Chuck goes in. I feel like that's just another cycle of Chuck and it's over. I don't think Ping Abusers have a way forward in this one at all, Duncan.
Nope, they're going to have to do it right now, and it's not going to be enough. Even with the Bell Hypercharge, C7's Chuck is able to finish off that safe nice and easily, and that set really never seemed in question. The Draco was able to clear out a little bit of positioning for them in that second game, but overall, even once they got onto the safe, like his teammates didn't really have enough damage to do all that much either. I think that if you are going to be doing that base race type of comp, you really need to go all out for it. And Ping Abusers kind of found themselves somewhere in the middle where they had to play too much defense on the Chuck, couldn't really get the damage of their own, and it just ended up being outclassed by the comp of Eclipsar.
Yeah, I feel like we didn't actually see Ping Abusers attempt any real thing. Maybe in the second game we saw some signs of life, but the Chuck was just completely too much for them. They tried. In the second game we saw them dive into the safe much more and go for the objective a lot more, and as a result it was much closer for game, but they probably should have started doing that when game 1 itself, so that was unfortunate for them. We're gonna go into triple dribble, and Yannick is telling me that he was telling me that his favorite mode and the favorite mode for his entire team is Brawl Ball, and he does the draft for Brawl Ball, so maybe I expect a stronger showing from this team in triple dribble as we go into that next map.
Yep, they're definitely going to need to draft a little bit better. I think that that first game was more or less the result of a draft loss. So hoping that they can pull out at least an even comp and triple dribble. I'm very much looking forward to some Brawl Ball action. I think I have to agree with Yannick there that that's probably my favorite game mode as well. So looking forward to that for sure. Definitely triple dribble is a map where you can see a lot of tanks, a lot of throwers, and pretty much just any brawler that you can consider is pretty much going to be in play. We're going to see the bans come in here for triple dribble. Eclipsar is banning Meeple, Lumi, and Stu. Ping Abusers banning the Chester, the Mortis, and Meeple gets double banned as they lock in that first pick B.
Yep, the B is so great on this map, especially with the open lane. So it doesn't make it's not that it doesn't make sense. It makes so much more sense for them to go for that B pick. But I feel like in response, you could probably go for a Barley. Barley is really good on this map as well, and I feel like it's usually taken to oppose the B and maybe a little bit of more support here. And I feel like Shade is also another brawler that can be quite useful on this map. So I think that Eclipsar Esport can afford their last pick to be a mid, but they should probably go for some lane options here.
Yeah, I do expect them to take some lane options here. I'm intrigued by Ping Abuser's bans. With the Mortis ban, I have to assume that they're trying to cook a thrower, maybe even potentially our second Dynamite of the day. But we are going to see a thrower come off the board first for Eclipsar. They're going to take a Juju as well as the Mo, which is a brawler we don't see all that often anymore, but definitely has the potential to be definitely a crazy asset on those dive plays. Ping Abusers is going to take the Larry and Lori, as well as the tankiest brawler, the Frank, with the last pick of the draft. So they've got a little bit of everything on the side of Ping Abusers. Eclipsar is going to have to get a little bit more damage to deal with this Frank, in my opinion.
Indeed, and honestly, like I don't really know if Eclipsar can really deal with that Frank, but maybe the Mole in conjunction with the Carl can bring out some explosive pushback to that Frank here. I like the Ping Abusers comp a little bit. I like the Eclipsar comp. I think it comes down to just the execution.
Yep, and it definitely makes sense. I feel like Ping Abusers got the comp that they wanted with the Lori and the Frank. Considering they did ban the Mortis, Mortis could have been a diabolical pick into their comp with that last pick. So Eclipsar is going to be opting for the Carl, kind of in place of that Mort there, but definitely a similar brawler once he gets that super that's going to be able to do a ton of work there. So very curious to see which comp has which team has the better comp here. I kind of like Ping Abusers comp a little bit better so far though.
Indeed, we're going to go into game number 1 of the second set here on Triple Dribble. Eclipsar took the first one quite comfortably. Let's see what happens in the second one. We already see Ping Abusers already pressuring Eclipsar all the way back to spawn. Marco is able to get a cheeky shot off on it. Yannick is able also to find that fire damage as well. C7 has to really hold the line. He goes in with a super, finds it onto Covers, and that was a little unfortunate for Covers because C7 was so close to that super.
Yeah, definitely very close to getting a goal on the side of Ping Abusers there, but C7 played fantastic defense on the Mo. Marco gets a beautiful pick off too on very low HP. They are going to have to deal with that Lori right now, but Don is going to be moving up the middle with fantastic positioning, and this is the first glimpse of hope that we've seen from Eclipsar in the set as the Grigri is going to go down. Yannick gets a little bit of wall break in, not going to connect any stuns, and Marco going in with his hypercharge is going to try to clear a path for his team, but he gets traded out with the Frank. We're going to see if C7 goes for a goal here.
He is trying to go for a goal. He can walk in and probably covers, gets a kill, and is able to clear the ball. And now Yannick breaking some of the walls, but not finding the stun that he was looking for. I don't know if I agree with that wall break, but it's going to help Covers out quite a bit. But Copy is going to suffer.
Yep, definitely. I don't know how Don was able to evade that Frank super. Fantastic jukes from him. We are going to see the Lori get taken down quite quickly. Marco connects with his fire too, so Copy is going to go down. And now we're going to have to see Covers on the B play. A lot of defense here to prevent a push here. C7 is moving up on this open lane against the B. That is not going to be a fun matchup on the side of the mouse. He's doing what he can for now with the help of Don's invisibility and his Grigri. He's going for the kill on the B. Not quite going to get it, but Marco is moving up with the ball. It looks like they might be trying to make a play here.
Indeed, 42 seconds on the clock here. Yannick does have a hypercharge. He's going to be using it just for that speed there. And Marco going in. Oh, Yannick actually misses his gadget. Isn't able to get Marco down. And as a result, he goes down himself. And Don going to go in with the invisibility. Going in for Covers. Can he find the kill? No, Covers is able to get that kill instead. So great job from Ping Abusers just to stay alive. And now they're going to be pressuring Eclipsar once more. But with 50 seconds left in regulation time, I do not like Ping Abusers' chances.
No, not at all. It looks like they are going to be pushing up right here. I mean, once it does get into overtime, cover should hypothetically be able to carry pretty hard here, as well as the Juju not having any additional range. But it looks like we are going to be pretty even going into OT right here with Ping Abusers in control of the ball for the time being. Marco's going in on Yannick, though, and is probably going to be able to get that kill. So we do see a 3v2. Ping Abusers are going to opt to to corner the ball for the time being. Not really going to risk it as Covers is popping off with that B hypercharge, able to clear out so much space for his team. Yannick is going to go back for the ball as they try to make a push here.
Yannick is just going to be walking up with his sponge over there. Does put the ball back. I think they're just going to try to fight for a draw here because that's the only way to not lose. It's not even about a win condition. It's just about a draw condition. But with Copy falling along with Yannick, it's not looking good. Now C7 goes in. He finds a kill as well. He has a super. He's going to try to super it in. No, he passes the ball to Marco. Marco goes in with his hypercharge. He's going to go on to the Frank. Frankie pops his hypercharge, uses the super as well, gets Marco down. This is looking terrible for both sides as neither team really in a position to score a goal.
Definitely not. We're going to see Eclipsar taking the ball back to their corner, but this is clearly going to be a tie in game number 1. No team able to slot the ball in a single time, despite having plenty of opportunities there. I definitely thought C7 might have been able to get a goal on the mouse there for a little bit, but overall, we are not going to see the ball fall into the net a single time, and that is going to be a game 1 tie. Crazy stuff there.
Indeed. We're going to go into game number 3, or rather game number 2 once more because of the tie. And so far, it's a pretty even keel here as neither team really getting into a position where they can make something known. But we see a little bit more pressure coming in from Ping Abusers, and that's just solely because of Yannick's sponge.
Yep, exactly. Yannick is just sliding up there with all of his HP, with his gadget popped, waiting for Marco to step a little bit out of line. Marco does miss his gadget there, so might be a little bit of an opportunity for Yannick to go in. He is going to hammer him there with the gadget there, and now Covers is moving up with his B shield. Yannick is going to be in a position to clear out enough room for a goal here, and somehow he gets that through Don there. I thought Don might be able to have the defense of the century, but Yannick slots it right into that bottom left corner. Fantastically played from Ping Abusers to finally capitalize on some of that Frank HP and positioning.
Indeed, and I think that's exactly what they want. Now it's just about defense. They don't even need to get another goal, but Yannick is going ham, gets a kill on Marco, but Marco did put up a fire gadget onto him, gets a kill, and D7 getting the kill on his Covers is huge. They have cleared a line for goal, but no, Cappy able to defend it. C7 with a very desperate play, but now the ball is cornered on the side of Ping Abusers.
Thought C7 might be able to get away with it there, but Copy was one step ahead of him, playing some fantastic defense. We're going to see this Carl Frank interaction go down exactly the same way again, with Yannick coming out on top. He is going to die to the Carl Fire. Covers is a little bit surprisingly going to uncorner this ball. It looks like they want to win this game 2-0. They are not content giving Eclipsar any single chance to come back into this game. So we're going to see the ball back in the hands of Eclipsar, with Yannick trying to prevent a little bit of positioning here, but the Grigri is on him. Marco is on him once again. C7 is going to be trying to get this super and make a mouse dive in for the goal.
Indeed, kill on Marco is huge, and now Yannick is going to go up against Don. They are able to collect the ball and play goalie, and C7's attempts are in vain. But now only member alive is going to be Copy. The ball is going to be passed. The kill is confirmed. C7 is able to slot that in, and now we get an equalizer. It's tied at 1 apiece.
Thought they might have rushed it a little bit initially, but it looks like C7 had it all under control. He was always going to be able to get that mouse play. So we are going to be tied up at 1-1 with less than 30 seconds left on the clock. We are likely going to be seeing another overtime, but Covers is hitting his 4K shot. He is moving up with a lot of damage on the side of Ping Abusers. If he's able to take out Marco here, they might have a little bit of an opening, but it looks like the side of Eclipsar is going to be holding on for a little bit of time. They went for the play, not going to work out though, and it looks like going to OT right here, Panda. Crazy stuff going down.
Nice styling by C7. He completely nullifies that super being brought out by Frank. It is overtime here. It is going to favor ECP quite a lot, but Frank is going to be using the bulk of its HP, clears the ball, and they're going to be putting it in the back lines. But that huge gadget is actually going to ensure that Covers gets a kill, but he gets taken out himself. Don is going to be passing the ball to C7. There's a stun coming in, but it's not timed well enough as Eclipsar Esports take the dub, and that's going to be game number 1.
That was so well played to C7. He knew exactly what Yannick had to do with the Frank stun there, and he just took his sweet time. He stood back in a spot where he knew he wouldn't get touched. That was very well played. A lot of people would have potentially rushed that there and fumbled the goal, but C7 was calm, cool, and collected. He's going to be able to slot in that second goal, and we are going to be going to a set point here for Eclipsar. If they're able to win this one, then they're going to take a 2-0 lead over Ping Abusers.
Gotta say, C7 on that Mo is a huge threat. He just is able to make so many plays happen and get kills quite consistently. So Mopik has been working out really well for them. Yannick going in once more. He uses his gadget, not able to get the kill, get taken out by Marco instead. And that is unfortunate for them. But you do have the teammates picking up the slap. Don just able to walk up in a straight line, and as a result creates a lot of space for Eclipsar as they move up the map once more, Duncan.
Yep, they have great positioning right now. I've been really enjoying watching Marco versus Yannick on this Carl Frank matchup. I feel like they've both been so aggressive on each other this entire set. Neither of them are really holding back any punches. Marco's going in with the Carl Hypercharge, going to be able to take out Yannick, even though he does sustain a good amount of damage. C7 with the Mo Super, though, is going to go in onto the Larry, and he might have an angle here. He does. Well played by C7 once again. He's using this mouse tech to the highest degree. He is playing a masterful Mo right now, and he is absolutely cooking for his team, getting the first goal of the game.
Indeed, that's huge for Eclipsar because usually they're on the back foot and big hypercharge along with the gadget being used by Yannick. Marco goes down. That's huge. Ball should be passed, but no. Yannick going for the stun. He's able to get the stun, and they're being able to slot this one in, equalizing within another 20 seconds. And now another minute and 10 left. Eclipsar Esports are not going to be happy with that one.
No, not at all. That was such a quick goal, completely just letting Yannick run up exactly where he wanted, getting the wall break he needed, and just allowing his team for the freest goal. But C7's going in on the mouse again. He gets one kill. Marco's able to get the second kill, and Don should be able to tank for this, as C7 is going to be able to finish off this game and this set with his second goal of the game. Crazy work on the mouse by C7. We just saw the goals. Just once one came down, then they all just came down like water after that. Crazy stuff going down there. It looks like both teams' defense faltered at the very end of the game.
Yeah, I think that the nerves definitely got to them in that situation because it's a high pressure situation. You had, I guess, 4 games maybe because we had 2 ties going all the way to like the 3.5 minute mark. So at that point, you're like very nervous about how things are going to be done, and then the pressure gets to you and you make these small tiny mistakes here and there, but a more experienced team like Eclipsar can capitalize on those mistakes much more than a ragtag team of ruffians, let's just say, in the form of Ping Abusers. So valiant effort from Ping Abusers. I felt like they really came into their own in that set, and I can understand why Yannick says that Brawl Ball is their best set. They drafted pretty well, they played really well, but Eclipsar Esports just indomitable and crazy the way they played it.
100%. I definitely enjoyed seeing the mouse gameplay from C7 right there. It's definitely not a brawler we get to see as often, even though he is a little bit back into the meta, but he played fantastically on the mouse. And although Yannick did put up a pretty banger Frank performance, definitely like clearing the path for his team to get all the goals they did get, I think that the comp was just on the side of Eclipsar a little bit more. They just had to wait for the mouse to clear out a little bit of space, and then they were able to get the goals that they needed. So that is definitely going to be in the top of mind as we go into set number 3. Ping Abusers trying to avoid a sweep on Shooting Star here as we see the Lumi, Piper, Byron, Gene, and Angelo are going to be our bans. First pick is going to be Bell.
Yeah, I think that's his first pick. Bell makes a lot of sense in a map like this. This is your favorite map, and your favorite brawler isn't banned out, so we might just see a little bit of the Mandy special, but Ping Abuser is going to bring out the RT with the take. I think that you can't go wrong with this duo as a composition. I feel like they're really good in synergizing, and on the other side, Eclipse are going for the Ollie along with the Leon. And what we see more and more predominantly is these bounty maps looking less like the meta that we know and love, which is the long range engagements, and more for these little cagey box fights which you get with Leon and Ollie.
Yep, I've definitely seen a lot of Ollie and Bounty today, and it's definitely been a pick that is to be feared for sure, especially when you get that super with that jump combination. The Leon is also always a threat. A little bit surprised to see the Lola coming down for Ping Abusers as the last pick of the draft. I don't mind it at all into the Ollie and the Leon, though. You definitely have the range advantage over them. You have the damage advantage over them from that range. So I think that it is a pretty off-meta pick that could end up working out in Ping Abuser's favor. And then they have one of your favorite combos, Panda, with the RT tick. Being able to mark up those opponents and then get so much extra value out of that tick mine definitely could fare pretty well for Ping Abusers. I have to assume that Eclipsar is going to be grabbing the blue star here, though, so we're going to have to see how they play from the back foot, assuming that Eclipsar does get that blue star, which it looks like C7 is going to do.
We're going to go into... Wow, okay, that was crazy. Double deaths, covers, and I believe a member from Eclipsar. That's going to be a lead for Eclipsar. We are in our third set here. Eclipsar took the first 2 on the trot. Ping Abuser is still not on the mark yet. A marker going in, though, with a super. Should be able to get Yannick, but Yannick narrowly... Oh, Yannick just walks back into it, and that's unfortunate for Ping Abusers as Eclipsar Esports now gonna extend their lead by 3 stars.
We have seen so much action going down in the beginning of this bounty game. Crazy stuff going on with the Leon playing just absolutely so aggressive. Marco is going for blood in this game. We're seeing that Ping Abusers are setting up a little bit of positioning, but Yannick hits that mine. He's going to get stunned by C7, and Marco's going to help him finish that. Likely going to be able to take out Copy as well, and Covers is the lone man remaining with 4 stars on Marco's head and a super in the pocket. He wants more, Panda.
He's out for blood. He's going in once more, but he went up against a Lola, and that cost him. But there is still a big lead. C7 so close to dying, narrowly survives though.
Definitely narrowly survives, and with the amount of value Marco's got, you have to think he's somewhat close to a Leon hypercharge at this point, so definitely going to keep my eyes out for that. C7 has super in pocket as well, but we see Ping Abusers establishing this control with the tick. He's just so good for zoning. It's very, very difficult to push into a tick, but obviously Ping Abusers are still down 4 stars, so Eclipsar doesn't really have to push up if they don't want to, especially with the way that Don is tapping the Lolo over here.
Indeed, and C7 is so good with this Ollie. The way he's able to get those double hypnos, it's kind of crazy. And hypercharge being popped by Copy, he pops the gadget as well to stay alive. Marco going in, he is completely invisible. Now he's going against Yannick. Yannick is so low, but manages to survive because of Copy. But Marco still invis, finds a kill on Yannick on the back lines, and that's just going to extend that lead even further. Eclipsar weren't really pressured at all. This is in their wheelhouse, and they are now a match point against Ping Abusers.
Yeah, Ping Abusers haven't managed to take a single game out of the hands of Eclipsar. Hopefully they'll be able to lock in a little bit harder this game. But with the amount of hectic stuff that was going down during that Blue Star interaction, I mean, it could go anybody's way. It looks like Eclipsar was just getting a little bit of the upper hand in that initial interaction. But we're going to see C7 make another play for the Blue Stars. Copy is just going to be spamming his mines out there, trying to prevent him. Marco's moving up the right side as well. And we have still yet to see anybody grab this very hotly contested star, but now Copy is going to pick it up. Ping Abusers has their first lead of the game.
Indeed, that's a pretty great start from Ping Abusers this time around. They didn't get punished for taking that blue star. And they do have all their utilities in the back lines here. And it's right now ECP a job to really move into this Ping Abuser composition, but with a Lola there and the amount of damage it can bring along with all of the support with the RT, I don't know if that's an easy task. They're trying, they're putting all of their effort in, and once more we see Marco going in the phase shift, not the phase shifter, the Megalomaniac there, but C7 finds the kill on Covers is huge, but on the other hand, Yannick finds the kill on the C7, and we saw how good Yannick is with the snipes, and Marco gets addressed too, and it's a 4-star lead for Ping Abusers.
Fantastic defense from Ping Abusers. They were getting so much pressure there, but they managed to trap Marco up there. I gotta say, Copy is doing a great job trapping people in the spot that he wants them with his tick mines. A lot of people think that Tick is not a very skilled brawler, but you can see Copy is definitely being very intentional here. As C7 is going to trap Covers in his hypnosis there. They're only going to be down by 1 star on the side of Eclipsar. Ping Abusers are holding pretty strong on the back lines, but they see their lead whittling down as we move into the last 30 seconds of this game, Panda. Marco is going to be invisible.
Indeed, Marco going in. He is going in on a Copy. Copy does manages to pop off his gadget, but he gets taken out nonetheless, and it's heartbreak for Ping Abusers. And we see Yannick already being marked up by Don, so I don't know if Yannick can compete as much in the later stages of this game. Copy and Covers really need to pick up the slack here, but Don is there, cognizant of the fact that Yannick is going to be trying to come in for this engage towards the end. Marco invisible on the right hand. We have the hypercharge coming in from Covers. Marco pops his hypercharge as well. The kill on Yannick is confirmed. The next one to fall is Covers, and it is domination by Eclipsar Esports as they take this one 3-0 against Ping Abusers.
Absolute domination there. Marco played so well on the Leon, getting that game-winning kill there. Copy was a little bit lost on the tick. He was kind of spinning around, having a good time with his teammates, was not ready for the Leon invisibility to switch the lead back over to the side of Eclipsar. And then once that happened, you saw Yannick already marked up, having to traverse through a whole minefield of bell mines. I think there was like 5 or 6 on the field at that point in the game. So more or less going to be impossible to push back into the side of Eclipsar and get them into their spawn. Very well played to, even though they did have a pretty significant deficit, they just whittled down at it person by person. They were able to get their picks, and they were able to hold on to the lead at the end of the game, Panda.
That was very well played from Eclipsar Esports. Just, push back Ping Abusers all the way to spawn, find a kill, put all of their utilities in tow, and just go in and find that one kill that they need to basically have the win condition. And with Yannick being marked up in that last game, it was just a little bit of a heartbreak there, but luckily everything worked out well for Eclipsar Esports. I have to mention that Yannick, when we were talking yesterday, he's like, stop the count in reference to the leaderboard because you had Ping Abusers at 1-1, and he didn't expect even one win, I think, at that point in time. So he's like, stop it here. I don't want any more losses. So unfortunately, they're going to take their second loss off the entirety of this league. So next up, though, on the docket is going to be Humble versus SK Gaming. I feel like this is another highlight match here. It's comparable to the monthly finals as well. But more on that later. We're going to take a short break of about 3 minutes here. War. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to OWN Masters of Valencia. It is match day number 3, and we are going to be heading into our last match, which is going to be Humble versus SK Gaming, the most consistent teams in EMEA. It's, once more in a tournament, we have SK Gaming and Humble being the top of the league, and I feel like that's probably an expectation at this point rather than a surprise. And both of these teams are in the running for the Brawl Cup as well. That being said, in scrims, SK hasn't had the best success against Humble with a 42% win rate. It's still not that bad. It's a 42 to 68%. No, 58. I'm bad at math, guys, but it's still pretty good. Most of the games that these two teams have faced in the past month have been nail biters too, so it usually goes down to the wire as well. All this is to say that I'm not sure which team is going to be coming out on top here, but I feel like, we the viewers are going to be definitely the ones winning here today.
Definitely, man. I'm super excited for these two powerhouses to face off against each other. The only two teams without a loss throughout our first 2 days of league play. So one of them is going to be sitting atop of the league at 3-0. The other one is going to fall back down to 2-1. But we've seen both of these teams with very, very convincing W's in that first couple of days. SK had a little bit of a nail biter against Totem in day number 2, but they also cleaned up business against Team Heretic. So they've got some good comp under their belts. They've already faced some of the hardest teams, and Humble is definitely going to be no different. Super excited to see which of these two teams is going to come out on top and be our front runner for the tournament champion.
Exactly. We have just a few more days to the last monthly finals before the Brawl Cup, so this is the last final stretch of preparation for the monthly finals, and I think all these teams are going to gun for the spot at the Dallas DreamHack where the Brawl Cup is going to be. So it's definitely crunch time for all these teams involved here, and the first map is going to be Layer Cake, and we are going to be going into our draft here with the bans. being Shade, along with Buster, Carl, Gene, Lumi, and Gray. So first pick going to be with Humble for sure, based on the bans that we see. And SK Gaming do not want any shenanigans, right? They've banned out the Gene, they've banned out the Gray. They don't want the pulls, they don't want any kind of thing catching them off guard. Whereas Humble also don't want much of the annoying brawlers here, which is Shade. Shade is so good on this map. Carl as well, and Buster, we know how strong he is all around. So a lot of these bans make sense. Humble going for an Angelo as their first pick here.
Yeah, definitely. I do like the Shade ban quite a bit. He can be such a menace on this map. There's definitely a lot of very chunky groups of walls that he can just kind of sit in for the free. I like the first pick with the Angelo right there. Obviously, he can play his range very well. The pure shot is so menacing on this map. With the amount of walls that you see, he can basically turn himself into not even a sniper, but more of like a, I don't even know, like a thrower, considering he's like going through and over the walls, all of that stuff. But he packs a very powerful punch. Also not as susceptible into aggro brawlers as other snipers, considering he is able to get that 4,000 damage shot off and heal himself with the super. So I like the Angelo pick quite a fair amount. SK is going to have to counter here. I'm curious if they're going to go with more sniper type brawlers, considering they did ban two of the pole brawlers that are like more long range options that you wouldn't necessarily say are like the most like sniper, the most pure snipers. So we're going to see Piper still on the board. Brock could definitely be in play as well.
Ooh.
And Gus is going to be the other one I mentioned. So not surprised to see a Gus, a little surprised to see a Kit. Definitely going to be opening up some doors for them to go a little bit more aggressive with their last pick of the draft here.
Yeah, and I feel like now Humble are forced to course correct just to factor in Kit to the compositions that they're going to go up against. And usually I would say something like a Janet might be a good shout here because of the drop the base gadget. But let's see how that does play out here. I think Janet is just generally a great brawler on this map, and it has seen a lot of success here. Juju's another one, which is pretty good. Ollie does decently as well on a map like this, but it really is comp dependent. But with the Kit being there, I don't know if any of these picks are really foolproof.
Nah, definitely not. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see a Juju anyway. That is definitely a brawler that kind of slipped my mind that I think is very, very strong on this map. And then I have to assume that they're thinking that SK is going to go aggro with this last pick, so they are going to go ahead and bite the bullet prematurely, taking double aggro on the side of Humble with the Ollie, with the fish. So definitely a crazy 4-5 turn in the draft from Humble. They already have their sharpshooter. They're confident with their range already, so they just want to make sure that SK is not going to be able to punish them with these dives. I kind of like the strategy, but it seems like that might have been what SK wanted, as they are not even going to take an aggro. They're just going to take a tank counter with the Lu right there. So the Lu should get some pretty free super feed, pretty free hypercharge feed, and if you get a Lu hypercharge and your teammates are ready to be able to collaborate there, you're going to be able to get that kill for the free. I feel like SK might have baited them with this one, Panda.
That was a really good, yeah, exactly. That's like a 5-head strategy here, because like the kid doesn't even need to really go in. It can be used just for assassinations if somebody's a bit too low in the other team fights, and if you just jump on your teammate, then you basically become a thrower as well. So I don't know, I like this draft from SK. They force Humble into a composition which is a little bit of a Frankenstein composition, and now let's see how it does play out for them as we go into the first set between Humble and SK.
Yep, we're going to be seeing Humble grab the blue star immediately, and they get it onto Lukey, which is kind of huge, but Semantic does get caught out, takes a little bit too much damage there, and Joker's going to be able to draw the first blood of the game. He's going to be necessitated to use a shield to escape with his life there, but we are going to see SK retreating back into their spawn, maintaining that 1-star lead. It looks like Humble is going to be kind of taking their time, trying to move up all as a team at once, with Boss pinching from the right side, and Lukey and Semantic kind of going from the middle.
Indeed, and very, I mean, a lot of control from Humble. It's kind of confusing, actually, if you think about it, because usually the Blue Star team is the one which is falling back because of all the damage they've taken. But in this engage, it's Humble doing much better than SK in terms of positioning. Kit does have a super here. OP can go for Semantic, and he is going to be going for Semantic. Gets a stun off on Semantic, but there are also shields coming in. OP finds the kill that he needs, but he's going to be taken down. It is a lead, though, for the side of Humble. Nice guy from Yoshi to stay alive here, and Boss has to use his super for retreat, which isn't exactly what you want to do in most of the situations here. And it is just a blue star lead for Humble.
I'm a little surprised they were able to get out of that situation. It looked like Joker played that so well, getting the shield onto OP to be able to keep them alive, but now we're going to see Humble completely pushed back into their spawn right now, and they don't really have the best comp to be able to push out of here. Lukey's probably going to have to hit a big shot. or Semantic is just going to have to kind of tank a little bit of damage for them. They're keeping them off for now, though, as they hold on to just this blue star lead. We're moving into the last 15 seconds of the game, Panda. Is SK going to be able to make a play here?
Ooh, I don't know, but Ope had to jump out at that moment immediately, so no super for him over there. Shield coming in, Ope's going to get a little bit of damage, gets taken out himself. Yoshi going in, but Boss is going to get the hypnosis off on a Joker. Joker is going to fall. It's going to be a 9-4 game, and Humble takes that dub. Wow.
That was so well played to Semantic at the end. He was tanking the exact right amount of damage. He got the value with his super, and he even tanked a little bit extra for Boss to keep him alive, even though that kill wouldn't have won the game for the side of SK. But very well played to Humble after a little bit of a hectic start to the game. The Cat had a couple of very sneaky plays, but they kept their composure. They were able to get those kills, and it's kind of hard to push into a Hank in his own spawn. I mean, a lot of brawlers do tend to get trapped once they're behind their own walls, but the Hank has that huge bubble, and you kind of have to walk through it at some point. So well played to Humble. We're going to see them grab this blue star again. Ooh. And Luki is going to walk straight into the face of Yoshi and extend that lead to 3 stars right off the rip.
That was kind of crazy how Luki was able to do that, and that's going to extend to 3 stars like you mentioned. Ope trying to go in with a jump here. Gets Boss pretty low, but not able to finish him off and polish him off. Big supers, big taps coming in from Luki. I think that Ope is going to be going down if I'm not wrong, but I am wrong, so...
All good. He's going to be able to survive barely right there. Ope does have his cat jump ready to go whenever. They're just trying to prevent them. He's going to miss his jump, actually, and that's going to result in his premature death. His Joker's going to die. Semantic with a crazy Hank snipe there. That is going to be a full squad wipe for the side of Humble, and they are sitting pretty with 9-star lead with the blue star on their head. Ope is going to be jumping on Semantic. Might be able to trade out there. Barely able to trade out there, but this is still a very healthy lead for the side of Humble right now.
Is it too late to say that I was a 5-head draft? Or maybe it's a 2-head draft? I don't know.
It could go either way, man. It could go either way, but I really am liking this Ollie and the Hank. It is so difficult to push into 2 brawlers this beefy with this much utility. Boss has a super, Semantic has his hypercharge, kind of a useless hypercharge, but still got the stat boost nonetheless. Yoshi's going to be getting a high ice rink down though, and there's going to be a lot of nonsense going on. Semantic still survives it. He dies to 2 kooky poppers from Joker. Boss is just straight chilling in the back of his spawn here. There's 20 seconds left and a 5-star lead with the blue star on the side of Humble right now.
Ope going in, he's able to get a little bit off a shot off on the Semantic, is able to get the kill. There is going to be hypnosis coming in. Boss is able to hypnosis Yoshi as well, but jump coming in from Ope. Ope gets taken out, and that is enough for Humble to take the win. They get the last kill.
That was crazy. A very rare 20-star bounty game in professional play. You never see that typically. It's usually going to be like 7-5, 6-8 or whatever, something like that. But we saw all 20 stars go off the board with this crazy comp that we saw from Humble. The double tank ended up working out, and it seems like the kit pick might just not have been enough to really do a whole lot. I get what they were going for. Maybe they wanted an aggro of their own and they just got pre-countered, but it seems like the cat was a little bit useless because even if you do jump on the Hank, that pretty much requires all of your teammates to be able to focus the fire onto him to be able to take him down. So well played to Humble. I think they outdrafted them and outplayed them, but that was an electric first set, Panda. I cannot wait to see what these guys have in store for us.
My only problem with that first set was this. That we didn't have more of it. I feel like it should have gone to game number 3 and I would have been satisfied because the gameplay was just beautiful to look at. I felt like there were moments where Ope completely popped off with the kit, but it wasn't consistent, right? There were times where he fell short of the dump that he wanted to do and got caught out by Semantic with that big bubble damage as well, cleaned up by Yoshi too. So I feel like, you know, overall, I kind of like what SK brought to the table, but Humble just played that really well. They weren't, I feel like, pressured at all. Even when they were pushed back in the spawn, they were pretty cool with ice in their veins, able to execute what they wanted to do.
Yep, they used their massive amount of HP to their advantage, and they just really did not. SK was really never able to put together a thorough enough push right there. So we are going to see Humble with a 1-0 lead as we go into our draft for set number 2, Gold Arm Gulch. Humble bans out the RT, Buster, and Kit. SK bans Daryl, Lumi, and Gene. And we're going to be seeing Humble grab the Gray with the first pick. And yesterday we saw Drage absolutely cook something diabolical with a Gray on Gold Arm Gulch. So definitely excited to see if we'll see any of the walking hook teleport combos for the ultimate pull. But overall, Gray is a very sturdy first pick. You can do so much work in the end of the round with those teleports, and then do so much work in the beginning of the round with those walking canes. So definitely liking the pick from Humble, especially considering Gene is out of the picture already.
Yeah, with Gina out of the picture, I think that you could probably pick up Juju if you're humble, but SK Gaming have to go for something a little bit more for the fundamentals, and they go for the Angelo. I like the Angelo as well, and the Pearl. I think that the Pearl is kind of slept on. I don't like Pearl in a lot of maps, but there are certain maps where I think that it can give you dividends, and I think Gold Arm Gulch is one of those maps. So not too surprised to see Pearl. The win rate on this map is very high. The pick rate is quite moderate, so this is sensible for me. I feel like Humble though could go for a thrower in this scenario, and I think that possibly go for that Juju. But there's still Mandy, and we still have some other sharpshooters that they could go for.
Definitely. I really do like the Pearl as a 2-3 pick. It definitely disincentivizes like some of the more aggro comps that Humble might have been cooking up here, especially considering they do have a gray teleporter, and I believe Ollie is not banned. So I feel like that might have been kind of a pre-counter to the Ollie. Wouldn't be surprised to see Ollie still come down on the side of Humble. Like you said, Juju, I could definitely see as well. But with the existence of the Angelo Pierce shot, that might make that a little trickier. We do see the Ollie come off, and also my personal favorite brawler, Mandy. So very excited to see how the Mandy will be played on this map, if she's going to be able to connect any of those supers, and obviously if we're going to see a Mandy hypercharge, that would be absolutely electric. But they're going to be playing their range with the Mandy, trying to get a little bit more aggressive with the Ollie, and then the Gray is going to have to be a little bit of a hybrid between those two things. Not really too sure what SK could go with here. I could still see a thrower being in play, but we might just see a little bit more range come down as well.
They go for Chester. I like the Chester. I feel like it addresses the Ollie potentially, especially when you have the hypercharge, but up to that point Chester might not be as effective. It's gonna be suffering from a little bit of a range disparity, but I think it can do it. I think it can hold its own.
Yeah, this is not a mode that we see Chester in all that often. I am a little surprised to see him. I do think that he is going to struggle pretty massively into the Mandy and the Gray, but it looks like they did think that they needed a little bit more than just the Pearl to deal with that Ollie, so they are going to be adding a second tank counter. Definitely an interesting draft from SK Gaming. I think I do give the advantage to Humble if they're able to hit Mandy shots, but that is a big if at pro level. It is very difficult when your teammates are communicating as well as we are, but we are going straight into set number 2 on Gold Arm Gulch. Humble has the lead already, but we are going to see Semantic die immediately, getting a little bit too aggressive with the Ollie hypnosis, and he's going to leave his teammates in a 2v2 right off the rip.
Yeah, that's not the best situation. They do though have Luke. He's one of the best snipers in EMEA in the world, but it's SK Gaming still, and they're really strong, and Boss is going to be pressure. Oh, he managed to teleport, but that's going to be utility gone for the next round if he's not careful. Goes for the walking cane, not able to connect, and Boss goes down. That is huge. Luki does have a super. It looked like he wanted to use it, but I think now he's just probably going to try to wait for the smoke to come in before he dies. He doesn't want to give too much of value.
I'm a little surprised they used the Gray teleport that round too. I thought they might have just put the prize in the bag after losing Semantic that early. You got to respect it to an extent, but Luki is not going to fall for the same mistake. He is more than happy to go down into the smoke, but that was a crazy start to the game. I'm curious if they're going to be grouping up a little bit more this time. Semantic is switching lanes. Luki does let the super rip. Don't see any deaths there. Not too sure if he was able to connect on anybody right there. So might have been a little bit of a waste of the Mandy super, and I'm a little bit surprised to see it go out of the pocket this early, as now they are just left with not very much utility.
Ooh, Semantic managed to get the hypnosis off. Almost gets Joker, but gets taken. I mean, doesn't find the kill that he's looking for.
Yeah, definitely very, very risky play from Semantic there. He risked his own life, and then he almost was able to get Joker out of the way. But so far, we're going to be sitting at a pretty even stalemate. Luki's trying to get that super. He has it online, and he connects it with Ope. Almost even got a double connection there. So fantastically played to Luki to get that super out of his hand immediately once he got it, catch them off guard. And now we're going to see Humble trying to just hold over control of this 3v2.
And I feel like you have your soundboard on because I heard a buzzer beater sound. Anyway, first round though was for SK. Humble still in a very good spot here, as they do have a 3-2 man advantage here, and I think that right now SK have resigned themselves to their fate. They're going to go into the storm. They just want to get a little bit more in terms of their utility, but not able to do so.
Yep, we're going to see Humble, though. They have 2 supers online and a Mandy hypercharge with no super yet. So definitely could be very, very interesting coming in here. If Luki is able to get that Mandy hypercharge, have no idea what's going to happen there, but they are able to get the kill on Ope, and the Mandy hypercharge goes absolutely insane. Cannot believe that he was able to get the double kill there. I love to see that as a Mandy fan myself, but we are going to see that first round go to Humble.
Beautiful stuff coming in from Humble. I feel like SK Gaming were kind of out of sorts here. Maybe they can address the issues that they're having, but I think that Humble are playing it really clean.
Yeah, that was fantastically played. We're going to have to see a little bit more from SK here. They are definitely on the ropes to Humble right now. Definitely was expecting a little bit of a closer matchup here, but it is going decently well so far. We're going to see Boss miss the walking cane, and he does get lit on fire by the Pearl as well. Semantic hits a stun, though, but it looks like Joker might be able to escape this. They're going to trade out, so now we are left in a 2v2. We have Luki on the Mandy, Boss on the Gray versus Yoshi on the Pearl, and Ope on the Chester. Not a whole lot of range on the side of SK here for the 2v2, though.
Indeed, and it is a little bit of a stalemate here. Nice pull coming in from Boss, but definitely be careful because easily they can be blitzed by this SK side.
Absolutely. It looks like they are going to be on the back foot right now. Luki is going to be trying to discharge his super as Boss finishes off that kill. Luki is going to be going into the next round with a Mandy super online. That is going to be at the top of mind for SK, but he lets it rip immediately once again. Not too sure if that is the strategy here, considering they are all on the right side of the map. But I guess I got to respect him going for it. He's going to be working from the bottom to try to charge up his super back again, though, Panda.
Yeah, it's a pretty good positioning for the side of Humble. They have like all the walls that they need. Chester still doesn't have the hypercharge or the super. And I feel like right now, since Semantic hasn't really overly aggressed, they're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, I'm still not too sure if I enjoyed the Chester pick here. I feel like they maybe overcompensated for Semantic on the Ollie right now, and they are kind of paying the price for it. But if you're not able to get that hypercharge with Chester, he's not really going to do all that much in a knockout situation. Yoshi does catch Boss on fire here. Not going to be really enough damage to get too much positioning back here. Luki is just going in a snipe off against Joker, and he is getting the best of him. Once again, Luki has a hypercharge, probably pretty close to that hypercharge super. So even if they lose this round with Semantic diving in onto Ope, and he's going to get that kill, and this is looking... Ooh, God, the Mandy hyper goes crazy. This is not over for Joker, though.
Yeah, Joker still has it in the bag, almost, maybe. No, Semantic is able to get his super off, and that is going to be Humble. Taking that first set, I honestly thought that Joker had it in the bag. Wow.
That would have been a crazy 2v1 for Joker to be able to pull out, but just simply not enough damage at the end of the day with the gas closing in over his little juice spot right there that he was healing from. But that was a crazy finish. The Mandy hypercharge came in so clutch in both rounds. As a Mandy main, I personally love to see it come down to that. Luki absolutely popped off, but we're going to be seeing Humble with a 2-set lead over SK right now. So absolutely crazy stuff. Two of our best teams in the region, and it's looking like Humble might be solidifying themselves as the team to beat in this tournament, Panda.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly looking good for them. They're able to take down all of their oppositions in pretty, I guess, confident manner, and in a confident manner. I feel like if you look at what happened in monthly qualifiers, they went down against Heretics 2-0, and then they were able to reverse sweep them there. So they have the skill set to be in those pressure situations. But SK Gaming is not a team which hasn't pulled off its own set of reverse sweeps. So Humble, despite having a 2-set win against SK, it's not over. I would not write out SK Gaming from the storyline at all at this point.
No way you can. It's definitely way too early for that. We've seen crazier in esports before, but I'm super excited to get into set number 3. We need to see what SK is capable of with their back against the walls, and we'll be playing Hot Zone on Ring of Fire, which is a very, very competitive map, very hotly contested map, especially once we get near the end of that game and we get into like the last couple percent of the zone. You just see both teams full sending it there with the HP comps that are so meta nowadays. But we're getting into set number 3. Humble on the verge of fully sweeping SK right now, but we're going to see Poco, Lumi, B, Stu, Ollie, and Carl be our bans right here, Panda.
The B ban is really good because it is the most picked brawler and it has the highest win rate as well. But another brawler that has comparable win rates but not as much of a pick rate is Draco, and we see SK Gaming going for the Lu. I think the Lu is a really good early pick here because you can't go wrong with the Ice Rink. It's also great for addressing a lot of the tankier options that Humble can bring out to the table. So I think this is a pretty safe first pick coming in from SK Gaming.
Yep, with the Poco ban, I feel like Lou is definitely a lock to be that #1 pick of the draft, so it makes perfect sense for me. Definitely going to be an extremely strong brawler once he gets that super cycle going, and it's going to make it more or less impossible for Humble to step onto the zone once he's got that super, much less the hypercharge, which I'm sure will come into play at some point here. But curious what Humble's going to go for a mid. Most of the mid brawlers on this map, like Poco, B, Stu, they have been banned out already. So maybe we could see something like a bow come in that has been pretty prevalent on this map, and that is exactly what we're going to see, along with a squeak as well. So I definitely like the bow into the Lou. I think he outranges him by a little bit, has a little bit better damage as well, and then without the movement speed that Lou clearly lacks, it's going to be a little bit harder to disarm those mines, even though at the competitive level we rarely see these mines hitting. Squeak is a great option for zoning out the hot zone as well, and he does a sneaky amount of damage in this meta, especially into like those mid-range brawlers. So I really like the 2-3 from Humble. SK is going to have to clutch up this draft if they want to keep their chance alive today.
Indeed, and I feel like the bow mines in competitive at this level serve a different purpose. I don't think it's necessarily for the damage or the stun, but that's a welcome addition. I think it's more just to make it slower and not give as much control of the hot zone, because you are going to be gingerly about identifying where the mines are, and that will give you a little bit more percentage. I feel like it's analogous to say the Lou mines, the Lou ice rink, except that it can be easy disarmed with brawlers like Carl or Stu, but they're not in the
Yep.
mix of things. Melody could be another brawler that could take out some of the mines. It could go in and completely destroy the opposition here. I don't really think that Humble have something to address the Melody so far.
Not yet. I definitely wouldn't be super shocked to see that. I feel like Juju is another brawler that could come into the fold here as well. With that water on this map being in such an annoying position, having a brawler that's able to walk over that can be super helpful. We are going to see a brawler you mentioned earlier, though, come off the board with the Draco. And considering that the Lou is already out of the picture, one of the harder counters to Draco, I don't mind this pick at all. I think that Draco is much better suited to win in hot zone rather than the heist that we saw him with earlier, especially with that max speed. Humble is going to finish off the draft with a grip. I think the first grip we've seen in league play so far. So going for a little bit of wall break action, going to be trying to counter at that Draco specifically. I do like both of these comps, but I think SK might have it in them as long as they can play a decent Draco max.
Yeah, I think that the Draco Max along with the Lou is just going to be so important for SK, but I like this Griff pick from Humble. I'll tell you why. The cashback does so much damage since it pierces multiple opponents, and you're going to have a lot of people trying to get onto the mid on the other side, so I think that this Griff is just going to pay a lot of dividends to Humble. Ultimately, it comes down to how these teams execute their different flavors here.
Yep, I like that wall break from Semantic, getting that wall out of the picture. It's immediately going to be really annoying to deal with OP if they don't have that wall break. As we see, OP without the wall is going to go down relatively quickly, and it looks like Joker is going to be soon to follow. Semantic and Boss doing a great job combining to get these people out of their spawn, as Lukey is going to be trying to aggress a little bit into the middle of the map here. But we are going to be seeing Humble take a little bit of a lead onto the zone as the max speed brings SK back into the picture.
Indeed, a great start from the side of SK to keep onto the hot zone, but I think that Semantic is doing a great job here. 2 cashbacks after the other. Joker goes down, and now with a very dominant display, they're going to have control of this mid, which is going to be hard for SK to come back from.
Lukey is sniping like crazy too, hitting the Tom Brady long distance squeak shot for the 4,000 damage on the right side of the map. Crazy snipe onto the Lou, but it looks like Humble is just playing so well as a team with the bow totem up too. There goes the bow hypercharge as well. Gotta wonder if Max is going to be forced to kind of use that speed in order to disarm some of these mines, but we're seeing the lead for Humble continue to grow little by little. The max speed comes through hot. Ope is going to be moving back up to the left side in his dragon form, but Semantic has had cards this entire game, just able to do so much work keeping the Draco back.
Yeah, but so far, if you miss a little bit off your clip, you're not going to be doing that well, and Ope gets a double kill on his teammate. Semantic not able to address Ope this time at all whatsoever. It's so important to get those shots off. If you don't, you're going to be paying, and that's what's happening here as Yoshi gets another kill onto Semantic, and now Lukey and Boss are going to be facing off against Ope, and it's not the best scenario.
Ope is going crazy right now. He just needed one chance to slip through, and he is able to get so much positioning for his team. Humble cannot simply ignore the Draco in their spawn right there, and that Lou Super is going to get a double freeze as well. Semantic doing what he can to get out of this situation, but it looks like SK is going to be putting some of the finishing touches on this zone. Humble needs to push in right now if they're going to be able to win this, but Ope is just cycling super after super, almost getting a full squad wipe right there for his team, and that is going to put game number 1 in the pockets of SK. This is exactly what they needed in order to start the reverse sweep.
beautiful stuff from SK Gaming. Humble kind of do have their work cut out for them. It really does hinge on Semantic, I feel, because like he needs to hold that left flank. If he can't hold back Draco, then there's really no point to the Griff pick that they made. So it's still very early on. I think that they can course correct, but they have to be concerted about how they're going to go about doing this as we go into our second game of the third set between Humble and SK, and Humble took the first two.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to do a little bit of a better job not letting Ope get into their spawn at all during this game. It only took one chance, but it is not going to be looking great for the side of Humble right now. Lukey is luckily going to be able to trade out on the right side and get that kill onto Yoshi. Fantastic snipes from the Squeak right here. But it looks like Ope is just doing all he can to stay alive right now. They finally are able to address him, and Humble is going to have an initial lead, but this Lu Ice Rink is going to keep them off of the zone for quite some time.
Ooh, that's a very aggressive grass break from Semantic. I think it's just going to make sure that OP can't sneak up, but OP doesn't give he doesn't give a damn. He's just going to walk straight up right down the middle, gets the kill on a boss, and now he's going to be pressuring Lukey so much. Lukey could actually just get the kill here if he was a bit more careful, and he doesn't. He gets taken out. OP is able to get the trade, but I think he's going to be happy with that trade.
I think he's going to be happy with that trade as well. Lukey is going to be coming back up with a Squeak Hypercharge, but once again, we see the Lu Super coming down. Going to allow so much positioning as Joker Speed is able to take out all these mines. Ope is going to be walking into the entire Humble team right here. Not going to be working out the best for him. Lukey misses Hyper as well, but we see basically a 50% lead sitting on the side of SK right now. Humble needs to establish a dominant position on this zone, and they are just simply getting too distracted by the pressure that Ope is causing on the Draco so far.
Yeah, Ope is just so slimy with it. He knows exactly when to go in. He knows exactly when to go out. He gets a double kill here. He's going to be taken out. It doesn't matter because Lukey is going to be finished off by Joker, and that is just beautiful. It's like watching SK poetry in motion.
This Draco value is just absolutely ridiculous right now. Some of the best Draco gameplay I've seen, but he just runs in a straight line and is able to get so many kills, clear out so much space. Look at the juke on that Squeak Super too. Crazy work coming in, and SK is finally going to get their first set of the day. They're only going to be down 1-2 right now over Humble after our third set. That was an electric set though. Got to give my credit to Ope right there. He absolutely cooked on the Draco.
At a loss for words. He was so good. I love watching Ope. When he pops off, he really does pop off, and he gives his team all the room in the world to work. I feel like they weren't Humble, were pressured time and time again by Draco Semantic's Griff pick. It made sense on paper to me, but like Ope was just so good with it. If you miss your clips with your Griff, you're not going to get your cashbacks fast enough, and well, if you don't get your cashbacks fast enough, you're going to be caught like a sitting duck against that Draco, and that's exactly what happened. Beautiful plays from Ope, and I love the wiggles.
He was wiggling like absolute crazy there, but just a really good draft from SK, I think. I feel like leaving the Lu open might have been a mistake on the side of Humble right there, especially when they are planning on banning the Poco. I feel like that is just kind of a little bit too much value to give away with the first pick, but overall, just a well-drafted, well-played set from SK. They are going to be taking that first set, and now they have reverse sweep dreams as we're going to be going into set number 4, which is going to be gem grab on last stop. What do you expect out of this one, Panda?
I don't know which way it's going to be going, but I expect Max, I expect Jeans, maybe the Grays as well. A little bit of aggression coming in from Carl's and the odd, I guess, Chester maybe. You might have the Stew as well, maybe the B. I have seen Humble draft Otis quite more often than most other teams, so they could go for that. So a lot of different ideas that can be brought to the table. It really just depends on how the early draft is and what the bans are going to be. But I feel like there are so many mind games in the draft. It's like watching masters play in chess.
Absolutely, and here we go into set number 4. We have Humble with a 2-1 lead over SK right now, but we're going into gem grab. The map is going to be last stop. We see Lumi, Janet, Jean, Bo, Buster, and Otis banned out, so it looks like that is a little bit of a targeted Otis ban. We know Semantic has been putting himself and his teammates on that Otis quite a lot recently. But it looks like the first pick should be on the side of SK here. No water brawlers have been banned also, which I do think is a pretty common shout on this map, but they're going to be going with likely the best tank counter in the game, Chester, with the first overall pick of the draft here.
Indeed, Chester is so good for removing things like Franks or any of those sorts of shenanigans, and I like that a lot. Carl is still very much open, and it is the most picked brawler on this map, in fact, so wouldn't be surprised if Humble decide to go for a Carl. I think that they have good Carl players in their roster as well. Stu is another brawler that they could possibly pick up here, but the startling lack of a pull here is something that I need to think about, and I think Gray could do that, but Gray's use rate on this map is so low that I don't really expect it to be picked up by Humble.
Yeah, I think this map is a bit too open for a brawler like Gray, but as far as other mids outside of the Gene, who's obviously banned, I do like the Stu, and I think that B could be a pretty common shout from SK as well, but I like Humble's turn here with the Lola and the Stu. Stu has a lot of versatility on this map, likely going to play the mid, but doesn't necessarily have to, and you could kind of say the same thing about Lola. She has great scouting for these long, straight, grassy lanes. It's going to be very easy to hit those shots, easy to get super and just kind of hang back with that, with the freeze frame gadget, if that's the one you choose to rock with. SK's got their work cut out for them here. Humble has a very versatile, somewhat uncounterable draft so far. There's not a specific brawler I can think of that easily deals with both of these options. The only thing I would have to say, though, is maybe they do not have the best DPS so far, so SK could go with a little bit more of an aggro pick, especially considering Ollie did avoid the bans. Buster obviously out of here, but Ollie I think could be a pretty good shout here.
Yeah, I think Ollie makes a lot of sense, especially the fact that they already have the Chester. I think that incentivizes the own Ollie pick for SK Gaming. It denies Humble, and they go for the max along with the Ruffs. And I think that whenever given the option to go for the max, SK is going to be taking it because they do have two phenomenal maxes on their team, Ope and Joker. So this does make sense. I'm going to be interested to see who plays the Chester because I feel like it's going to come down to that a lot more. So far, there isn't anything that can completely change the fate of the game, like say a pull coming in from either team. So I think this is just going to be an out and out mid control battle with Squeak being the last pick for Humble.
I gotta say, I'm a little bit surprised to see the dog making his first appearance of the day here today. I definitely think the max pick makes a ton of sense here, especially giving that speed to the Chester. I think that, to your point with the game-changing plays, the only thing I see is that Chester hypercharge. So definitely, if they're able to get that speed onto the Chester, he can do so much work with that super bomb right there. That's a play that you got to look out for. I like the Squeak class pick as well. As we know, Lukey has been hitting crazy shots on the Squeak all tournament so far. So if he's able to continue up with those snipes, and just in general, I feel like the Squeak counters the dog so well as well. So I'm a little bit curious why we're seeing Colonel Ruffs hit the field for the first time. But overall, I think I like both of these comps, mostly just because of the Max Chester on the side of SK.
Indeed, as we go into game number 1 here. And yes, the sound was in fact from the clean feed. So somebody in the clean feed is actually playing with the audios, but whatever. It is set number 4 between Humble and SK. Humble did take 2, SK took 1. It is now possibly the last set if Humble take the dub here, but SK do have a lot to say in this scenario. They do have a lead as well, 4-1.
Yep, this is going to be a pretty intense matchup so far. Joker is doing all he can with his speed in the middle, but Ope is going to clean up on his lane, and the dog is going to be very weak, but somehow surviving here into a pretty unfavorable matchup against Boss on the Squeak. Boss is moving up, getting some great shots on the Joker, who's going to have to dash out there. I am a little surprised to see Lola in the mid rather than the Stu. I guess it is a little bit of a better matchup into the max, so it makes sense on that. But so far, Humble is finally pushing back some positioning. SK just has such a significant lead, though, and Joker has a good amount of utility to be able to get out of these situations, but he's going to get caught lacking by Semantic. Yoshi and Ope are going to have to converge to defend these gems right now, but it looks like they're going to be able to get away with it.
Yeah, honestly, it's such a great start from the side of SK here, and they are even more aggressive. Once Semantic gets his hypercharge, it's going to be a different scenario altogether, as he is going very aggressively in the mid and has complete control with the Megalomaniac. That Megalomaniac is just going to do a number on SK and keep them back.
Yeah, the Megalomaniac is doing a lot of work right here. I'm impressed with Lukey's gameplay onto the Chester lane as well. I feel like that's not an easy matchup for us, too, but he is doing a great job holding back Ope. We see the max hypercharge come through, though, and we see Ope with a hypercharge of his own. No super quite yet, but he's got to be pretty close. He gets it off, and it's going to nuke Semantic. All the gems are going to be down there, and it looks like Joker's going to make a play for it, giving Ope the speed. They're going to get out of here with 14 gems. That was a diabolical lick, Panda.
That was kind of crazy. I did not expect that to happen at all. SK looking really good here, but the dying seconds are still there. Semantic is going to try to get the kill on a Joker. Joker is not going to go down here. They are trying to get the kill, and Yoshi is so low, but it doesn't matter nonetheless. SK Gaming take the first game of this set.
That was so well played by SK to defend themselves from that final push there. I could not believe that they didn't at least take down one of the gem carriers and get a reset there. I honestly could not believe that. That was an insane finish to the game. SK did get away with a pretty crazy one. I'm expecting to see Humble maybe be a little bit more cautious with the gems, but it's tough when you have a fast Chester running at you with that hypercharge bomb. Just well executed at the end of the game from SK.
Indeed, we're going to go to game number 2 here. SK Gaming, one more win can force a set number 5. Joker getting the kill on boss is going to be huge. On the right-hand side, Luki going up mano mano against Ope, but not really being able to get much out of it as Joker is helping out so much on lane. And Joker, with his speed, able to dodge so many of these shots from Semantic. It's kind of crazy.
Those were some crazy jukes right there. Joker's bit off a little more than he can chew, though. He's going to have to retreat there. Yoshi did get a beautiful kill of his own over on the left side of this map. He's using the walls to his advantage, trying to keep Semantic weak, but it looks like we're just going to be kind of at a reset here. 3 gems to 3 gems, but Yoshi does go down on the left side of the map to boss. That's going to be positioning going back to the side of Humble here.
Indeed, and we are in the mid game here. Very good control coming in from Humble. The speed from Joker. He's going to be able to pick up that 1 gem, which I feel like Semantic probably should have picked up. Semantic is very low. He's places down his Megalomaniac after the hypercharge nonetheless, and I think he's going to be content with that. OP going up against Boss on this left-hand side. Boss getting the kill. That's going to be huge. It's going to be a 7-4 gem line, and it's still anybody's game, but it is favoring Humble just a little bit here.
Yep, definitely, and Joker's going to have to use a lot of his utility to get out of there. Ope goes down immediately after his respawn. Yoshi's getting double teamed on the right side of this map. That's going to be Semantic picking up his 8th gem in a 3v1 situation right now. He's going to be able to grab the gem on the opponent's side as well. So just waiting for one final gem to spawn on the side of Humble, and they should be walking away with 10 here. It looks like that is going to be the case as Ope gets taken down by Boss again. Boss is just doing so much work holding down this left lane for his team. He's got his Squeak Hyper online, and I don't really see a super convincing way for SK to be able to get the gems back here.
Honestly, I don't see it either. Ope with his hypercharge walks in, but Luki just says no. He puts a full stop towards it. Humble are going to be on match point here. Just one more win is going to seal the deal against SK Gaming, but SK Gaming just need one more to force set number 5.
Absolutely. It's going to be an electric one. This is our first match point of the day right here. Humble's going to be looking to close the deal once and for all. I'm certain that they do not want to test SK in a set 5 right here. So we're going to have to see. It looks like Humble has had the control for most of this set, and the moments that they've slipped up have just been when Joker's able to give his teammates that speed and make a crazy play. But we're into match point officially here. We're going to see Semantic and Boss on the right side. It looks like Humble is a little bit surprisingly switching their lanes to match SK's lane switch right there. So they want to keep the Squeak on the dog right there, and it looks like that is going to be working out decently well for them. But Joker's probably going to get away with most of these gems here.
Yeah, Boss really had no way forward in that interaction. Gets taken out, but Luki had to pick up the gems because obviously you don't want SK to go up 5-0 in terms of the gem line. So good shot for him to do that. Nice super coming in from Boss. Doesn't find the shot off on Ope. That is unfortunate. Now Semantic is still not able to get his super, and that's going to mean a very dominant SK in the mid game here. They are up 6 gems to 2.
Yeah, Semantic has not been able to get a whole lot done in the mid so far. Joker is definitely outplaying so far on the max in this game here. Great shot from Boss right there to get a good amount of damage. They're going to have to get Ope out of the picture here, but he does get stunned by the Chester super. Luki does, and he's going to go down. Another Chester super goes down, and SK has 10 gems on their head. Boss is the only one with anything to say about it at this point in time, and Joker is simply just going to tank that, get the dog hypercharge in his pocket. I guess he already had one, so it's not going to matter. But SK is retreating back into their spawn. Not really a simple way for Humble to get out of this situation. That is going to be SK taking the gem grab set, and we're tying it up at 2-2 here, Panda. I cannot wait for a set 5.
It's been going back and forth. It's kind of crazy the way SK were able to dominate the last game. I felt like what we saw in the previous game was a Humble side that was completely dominant because they won it not because of a random, I guess, insane play from the team. It was just concerted, good control of the map, and that's what they kept on doing. But SK Gaming were like, yeah, that's great for you, Humble, but we're going to be very aggressive and completely shut you down. I felt like Semantic was completely neutralized, and Boss was left by his lonesome against the Chester, and obviously can't do really all that much if Chester's right in your face. So unfortunate for the side of Humble. But now it's set number 5, and we could just see the SK reverse sweep coming to fruition.
SK's reverse sweep dreams are alive, and we are going into potentially the most hectic map in all of competitive. It's going to be Pit Stop, so we are in for an absolute treat here, guys. Grab your popcorn. We're going into Humble SK Set 5, man, on Pit Stop. Definitely a map where there's going to be a lot of aggressive options. We've seen Bull be played here. We've seen Edgar be played here. And then we've seen other brawlers come into the meta on this map that are basically only there to counter out those brawlers like Charlie and Cordelius. So definitely pretty much every brawler is going to be in play here. I'm very excited to see what different off-meta picks each team is going to pull out for this draft.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be very interesting. I know that Semantic and Humble like to look at a lot of East Asian drafts, but so does SK. So you can expect some things like Shade be coming out or maybe being banned out altogether because they don't want to deal with the shenanigans. If neither team wants to deal with the shenanigans, we can expect bans like maybe a Carl, maybe an Edgar, or a lot of those sorts of brawlers or shades being banned out. But if you want the shenanigans to be there, you're gonna have bans such as Cordelius or Charlie, the ones which basically shut down a lot of the options that go in on the safe here. But we're gonna go into our draft here, and Duncan, take it away.
Yep, we're going to have the bans coming in. On the side of Humble, it's going to be Barry, Edgar, and Lily. So exactly what we're talking about. Some of these crazy brawlers are being banned out because SK actually has 2 of the same bans with the Barry and the Lily as well as the Shade. So only going to see 4 brawlers in total get banned here. Pretty much all of the meta options are going to be on the board right here. Lumi also is going to escape the ban stage, and as expected, that is not going to slide for long. SK immediately scoops her up with the first pick. Maybe not the ultimate heist brawler, but with the way that her shot mechanic works, it's kind of like she has 2 Carl pickaxes if you do leave her alone on the safe. So definitely something to be aware of. A pretty solid defensive brawler as well into some of the more aggressive tanks like Daryl. So not surprised to see Lumi get drafted. I am surprised to see Lumi not get banned, Panda.
Yeah, I feel like people, since they've been playing this map a lot more, they might be aware of how to play around the Lumi. That could be a possibility, or it just could be straight up misplays coming in from the draft side of things for Humble. But Humble decide to go for the Buzz and a Carl in response. So they have good 2 good dive brawlers. I would say that if you don't use a flying hook, then maybe the heat ejector is also good for control for Carl. So pretty solid picks coming in from Humble. But so far, nothing to really address Lumi. But I don't think Lumi is out and out addressable.
I kind of agree with that. I mean, there's not a specific thing that does super well into her. I think that the assassination play, what the Buzz could be significantly like kind of putting some stress on the Lumi, but they're going to be adding a Melody and a Stu, so not a whole lot of like base race potential outside of the Melody, and I guess the Lumi too. But on the side of SK, Stu is going to be a much lower damage option than you're used to seeing on this map, but he is going to be good for maintaining that mid control, maybe trying to waste some of the utility of the Buzz as well if he's able to slide out of one of those hooks. So a little bit surprised to see the Stu, not too sure how I feel about that, but I love the Melody, I love the Lumi, and Humble is going to be adding a Charlie, so I guess that is going to be mostly to try and address the Melody dive potential. Overall though, Charlie could be a menace with those spiders as well, especially into the Stu that gets super hard countered by Charlie spiders. Overall though, not really the draft I was expecting to see from either team. I think Humble's is a little bit more typical on this map, but I can't bet against the Lumi here though, Panda, in good conscience. I can't.
Yeah, I can't bet against the Lumi, and if for whatever reason Melody gets on the safe with the hypercharge, it's basically donezo for Humble. So I don't know if this is going to be a base race or if it's going to be tightly KG with some of the options going in, but I feel like Lumi is such a good brawler for defense against the opposition that she's going to be going up against. We're going to go into set number 5 of the last match of the day between Humble and SK. Both of them took 2 sets each here as Ope gets kill on a Luki, and now Boss going to go up against him. Boss also gets fire damage off on the safe, and I feel like that's going to be playing a big role here, the heat ejector on the safe.
Absolutely. Every time Carl does get onto the safe, he is most likely Boss is going to be using that gadget just to burn down the safe even further. But we see Joker already has his super. He's going to be using that to move significantly far up the map. Semantic's going to be left on defense by himself as Yoshi is going to finally get onto the safe as well as Boss. We're going to see Ope trying to play some defense on the side of SK here. But it looks like that SK safe is going down very quickly. Humble safe is starting to follow the same path here, though. Yoshi is just causing so much pressure up on this right side of the map. They cannot do anything to get Lumi out of here.
Indeed, I mean, all the damage that SK got was great, but like Yoshi's been able to respond. And nice stun coming from Luki. Can he find the kill on a Joker? He does. He's able to. How is he dodging? The wiggles on that guy is crazy.
Luki just went absolutely insane, getting a double kill and somehow surviving on one shot. Semantic does miss his cocoon, and there's going to be so much damage coming in on the side of the safe here, but we are seeing both safes trickle down significantly. Boss has the safe on fire. Luki is waiting for his chance to go in. Both safes under 20%. And if Boss isn't able to finish it here, it might be game over. They survive on 990 HP. What is happening, Panda?
That is crazy. This is actually possible for SK to win this if they play their cards right. Semantic popping the hypercharge. He has to be careful. Luki hasn't been making connections with this gadget. Semantic getting stunned is going to be huge, but he managed to survive. Joker just going in with a hypercharge. It is game over. There is no way SK don't win this. They win by 1%. Oh my god.
They win by 1%. Well played by Joker to get his Melody hypercharge and get all the way up to the safe. I cannot believe that Humble was not able to finish off that safe there. 990 HP is absolutely insane to see right there. What a game number one, but we are going to be seeing SK after they were down 0-2 sets. They have match point for the first time here today. That is unbelievable, Panda.
That is absolutely crazy and insane. And this is what we expect from a match between these two titans of EMEA. We're going to go to game number 2 off this 5th set. SK are definitely in a great spot as they have match point here. Boss gonna get the kill on a Joker, and Yoshi gonna be on the back lines here, and he's gonna get that trickled in damage. If Yoshi didn't get all that value in the earlier game, they wouldn't have won this, so this is very important for them.
Definitely. Boss is getting a ton of damage up onto the safe with his gadget and just his normal hooks in general. It looks like Humble is kind of making a team push right here, but Yoshi shuts it down so easily with that Lumi gadget. Got to be the most broken gadget in the game. Yoshi is going to miss that shot onto Boss, though. Boss getting, once again, another fire hook onto the safe, but we see damage pouring onto both safes right now. Humbles is going to be a little bit weaker, and it's going to be kind of resetting here with about a 20% lead for the side of SK.
Yeah, because Humble took a big gamble there. They just let Joker go in on the safe there. A huge super coming in. A second one as well. Luki going to get a lot more damage. Yoshi's able to address the kill over there on the other side. Luki gets taken out. It's a 4% game favoring SK since the wave right now is for SK.
Yeah, we're seeing a very even game so far. Luki is going to be using his Buzz Hyper, but Joker is going to take that advantage to use his Hypercharge as well. We're seeing a lot of damage come through from the Buzz, but it looks like Humble's safe might go down. But Humble actually is able to defend a little bit. This safe might burn down. I'm not sure if it's going to survive, and it is not. We see Humble tie up our pit stop set at 1-1. Crazy work with the Carl Hypercharge. What a set so far.
This is absolute cinema. I have never seen pit stop be so exciting. Going down to the wire every single time with these small little micro plays and adjustments. It's crazy. I'm looking forward to the last game. It is set number 5. We are on double match point. Both these teams not relenting. Neither team wants to back down here, Duncan.
This is so electric, man. We just see whenever the buzz goes up, the melody goes up. It seems like both teams are taking their chances to like kind of leave the opponent on their safe so that they can go up onto the opponent's safe. It seems like it's a game of chess. Are you going to stay up? Are you going to go back? And so far, both of these games have come down to the wire. These micro plays are really doing everything for them.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the gameplay feed to be on. I'm not sure what is happening right now, but I really want to see the game here, Duncan. It's looking so exciting.
Yeah, we need to get back into this game ASAP. There could be so much happening in the first 30 seconds of this game, so hopefully we'll be able to get a peek into that soon. Here we go, and it looks like we didn't miss a whole lot. SK has dealt 14% to the Humble safe, but overall, we are avoiding a major catastrophe there. We are into our final game. Winner is going to take all here.
Indeed, Luki, this time he can't afford to miss his pulls. He's going in on the safe. There, he gets stunned immediately, addressed there by the side of Humble. He managed to survive a little bit longer than he probably should have. And now Boss going to go in with his super, goes in on the safe here. He's going to get a little bit of more damage and not able to get his gadget off there. Semantic dealing with OP, gets taken out himself, but now Luki barreling in, getting even more damage on the objective. It is a lead of 33% by Humble, and I like the waves that they're going in, one after the other. Boss, then Luki, Boss, then Luki.
Humble has been timing their dives incredibly well, and this is the biggest lead we've seen for either team in this set so far. So Humble just has to hold on defense a little bit more, but it's going to be a struggle. Semantic hits his hypercharge, and that is going to be massive for delaying Joker's inevitable dive onto the safe. Boss has a lot of defense to play here, but it looks like Luki is getting a little bit more damage. He managed to take down Ope too, but Joker's hypercharge is doing so much work. Semantic is able to finally deal with that, but Yoshi stays up. Luki's going to have to deal with this very quickly, and in fact, he is. We are going to see the Humble safe at about 40% with the SK safe at about 30%. This is anybody's game.
Yeah, it's looking really great for Humble right now. They do have positioning. They have their next engage, but they're leaving Joker on the safe. They're going all in. It's now or never for Humble. They have to do it. They get the kill. They're able to shut it down. It is Humble taking it 3-2 versus SK Gaming. Humble will not be denied.
Fantastically played by Humble to be able to pull out the game on the double match point there for both teams. Crazy stuff going down, but they finally managed to maintain a lead throughout the entire game. Like you said, Lukey was doing such a good job getting onto the safe. Boss was doing such a good job getting onto the safe, and they were just able to overwhelm them when it was all said and done. Joker couldn't get his Melody Super onto the safe consistently or early enough to be able to win that game. That was a very back and forth set, though. I knew that Pit Stop was going to be a movie, and oh boy, was it.
Beautiful, absolute cinema. I don't think Roman Polanski could write a better plot than that. That was kind of crazy, man. I did not expect it to go down to the wire to that level with a double match point with both Humble and SK Gaming. Congratulations to Humble to hold their line, but I felt like SK Gaming definitely had it in the bag. There was one moment in that last game where Yoshi got a double stun on two people on the side of Humble, and I thought that was over. I thought that at that point of time, it's going to be done and dusted. It's going to be SK Gaming taking the dub, but they weren't able to capitalize on it. And, you know, you can't make these small mistakes against Humble because they're going to punish you for it, and they did.
Both of these teams are known for not letting small mistakes go unpunished. So it was fantastically played in a battle of perfect teams pretty much there. That was a beautiful way to finish it. Got to give credit to SK. They were down 2-0, so well played to keep their head in the game and come back and bring it to a double match point. But overall, Humble started off the day as the better team and they finished it as the better team. Well played, and they deserve the spot at the top of the leaderboard. The only 3-0 team through our 3 days of league play.
Indeed, it's beautiful to see how competitive EMEA is. I keep on talking about how the depth of East Asia is a lot, but I feel like the depth of EMEA is comparable. You have the breadth as well. They have so many teams that are at the same level. It's a coin toss. One day you're going to have Humble winning, one day you're going to have SK Gaming winning, but today it's Humble on top with a 3-0 and Reverso on the bottom with an 0-3, and hopefully over the next 4 match days this does change in the future. But I have to mention, Duncan, I don't know if you're aware, but Spen LC is in the chat, in the Twitch chat, and he says that he loves your casting, so big props to you for casting. This is your day number 3. You're doing such a great job, man. I really like
awesome,
casting
man.
with you.
I appreciate it, Panda. I appreciate it too from Spen, man. Shout out to him. But yeah, it's been a great time so far. We've had 3 days of absolutely amazing games. I am happy to see Humble sitting on the top. I feel like they have earned it through our first 3 days of league play, but there's definitely a lot of teams in the bottom out of this playoff picture that could definitely make a legitimate run at it. So I'm looking forward to see who's going to come back when we get into day 4 and day 5 in a couple weeks here. I think that it could be anybody's tournament, but definitely Humble has solidified themselves as the team to beat in this play.
For sure. And just looking at our leaderboard once more, it's Humble on top, Reply Totem, SK Gaming, Inner Circle at 2-1, and we don't have any more information on that. Apologies. But match day number 4, which is going to be on April 29th, so we're going to have a long reprieve. We're going to be coming back on 29th and 30th. But on match day number 4, we have Reverso versus Eclipse, or SK versus Inner Circle, Ping Abusers versus Team Heretics, and Reply Totem versus Humble. And this is going to be after the monthly finals, so we're going to have completely different storylines. We're going to know which teams have qualified for the Brawl Cup. There are a lot of different things on the line for that tournament and that match day then.
Yep, very excited to get into it. We've got a bunch. Obviously, every team is going to play every team, so every single matchup you could possibly want from this tournament, we are going to be seeing. So I'm excited that this is the last game that we got to do for this week. Could not have asked for a better set to end on right there, but we've got way more where that came from, so make sure you guys stay tuned.
Yeah, and once more, thank you to the viewers for coming and showing up, because we put up this amazing show for you guys. And, you know, we have Duncan's beautiful face and my face here. That's people that you see in the front, but there are so many people working in the back end to make this possible. Thank you to the production team and all the admin team for making all of this possible. The sponsor is Supercell as well for facilitating this to happen. OWN obviously as well, and the pro players for showing us what they're made of in these tournaments, which are so gritty and so contentious. So thank you to everybody who's shown up today, and we will see you on April 29th for match day number 4, same time. Bye-bye.